Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 2 of What If I Was Reborn into My Hero Academia as Izuku Midoriya with the Ultimate Gamer System. Let the tale begin. Chapter 13. The USJ Incident, Part 2. Midoriya, Lita anxiously called. Stay back, it's not safe. Izuku moved his hand in a protective motion. Hero aura activated. Izuku slowly turned to him, keeping his focus on the villains. Tita, run and bring back All Might. B but Midoriya, I have to prot. Dum. Now. Why yes. Ilda dashed with speed towards the gate, he didn't even look back. No way, the class president was being terrifying. If Lita was asked, he would say that current Midoriya is scarier than the villains. The entire class tensed. Izuku is acting different, they all could feel it, he is unstable. Midoriya. Ashido muttered weakly. The other students looked in worry. Bakugo stared speechlessly. What happened to him? This is not normal. Izuku, who knew that Kurogiri would try to stop Lita, turned to look at the villains with murderous intentions. Try. I dare you. Dum. Kurogiri. Tamura, who felt the full power of Izuku's combined malice, King Engine, and the weakening effect of Hero Aura, screamed in fear hysterically. Yes! Kurogiri opened multiple portals below the students and Izuku. He had to let them reciprocate. He wanted to create a distance and send the Nomu after the green kid. No way, what kind of monster is that green kid? Where's All Might? What happened to the Nomu? Why is the kid so scary? If they can't handle this green kid, then how can they handle All Might himself? What if the two work together? The plan is already in shambles, the green kid is an unanticipated variable. Regardless, Kurogiri just wanted to send the green menace away to calm Shigaraki Tamura first, then directly run with everyone. Yet would Izuku let them? Would Izuku give them time to strengthen themselves and have the advantage of control? No. This wasn't a simple show anymore, not for him. Feeling his danger sense flare up, Izuku jumped and used float. He looked down with his Sharingan and saw a portal opening slowly and leading to a flooded zone. Izuku smirked maliciously. So, you want to kill me? When you point with your gun, you better be ready to face retaliation. He grabbed his staff and turned it into One Piece mode. He directly activated OFA and threw the staff down with full speed at 50%. Izuku ignored the throbbing, painful sensation of his hand. He could handle 30%, but 50% hurt like hell. It was beyond his understanding how the original Izuku punched with 100% all the time. That kid must have hated himself or had insane pain tolerance. This hurts as hell. It is worth mentioning that Izuku's 50% is not something comparable to the original's 50%, so such a heavy drawback is understandable. Stamina 3 and Speed 3 played a vital role in his rapid improvement, but it also strengthened OFA's overall accumulative power. With faster speeds and tireless efforts, he was simply a walking natural disaster, but that remains to be seen in the future. Coupled with the 20% boost of Hero Aura and King Engine, the staff practically teleported from his hand and landed at the bottom of the lake like a meteorite. It dug very deeply into the earth and cracked the structure below. The earth rumbled violently, and not even a second later, the lake's water began to part like the Red Sea. Almost instantaneously the water exploded outwards like a raging volcano. The villains inside the water had passed out from the sheer sound bomb that occurred inside the bottom of the huge lake. Sound moves at an extremely fast speed inside water. It differs from land. Sound moved through the water as a medium, and the intensity of the vibrations directly killed any fish inside the lake and pushed the villains out like ragdolls. It was a scene that resembled a cosmic natural disaster, a meteorite. As the students began to fall in multiple portals, they saw below them different areas, firelands, ruins, swamps, desert, etc. Izuku watched as Shinso and Sui fell into the flooded zone. Luckily, he handled everything fast, so he wasn't worried about their safety. As for the others? They will survive 100%. Izuku trusted Uraraka and all his friends. No way, anyone trying to fight Uraraka will be hit with a freaking giant floating rock, if not then. She could simply throw some pebbles at them without gravity, then cancel it. They would shoot out like a bullet. Uraraka's quirk was a classic strong potential quirk with a weak or soft user. She didn't even master it fully yet. She could only remove the weight of an object only by touch. Izuku imagined Uraraka as a villainess. She only needed to touch you, lift you high and drop you to your death. One touch, just like Tamura Shigaraki, one touch and you're out. You can be the strongest human outside, but inside you're a mere human, fragile. The organs inside the body simply can't tolerate too much damage. Izuku was smart enough to understand that the sound wave from his last attack must have turned the brains of the villains off, maybe permanently. No way, that explosion must have created a biological hazard. Yet, Izuku didn't know, nor did he care about the consequences of his actions. Only the descending figure of Shinso and Sut knew what truly happened. They watched as the lake exploded out of nowhere. The water evaporated instantly, and multiple shark-like figures shot out of the lake, all of them unconscious and bleeding from their ears and eyes. The two landed softly on the ground with the help of Sol as she used her very long strong tongue to slow their fall. They looked at each other, then at the massive crater inside the lake that was slowly getting filled with water from the rain. What the hell just happened, X2? Why is he not falling? Why the hell is he not falling? Tamura Shigaraki pointed at Izuku, who hovered above the gate. His hand was shaking. He turned and lost all his colors as he saw the figure of Izuku rocking his fists back and aiming at Kurogiri's neck. Black tendrils from his back wiggled ominously. The green figure looked like a vengeful demon with black wings. He can teleport too? With a mighty punch, Kurogiri's figure flew back with speed. Direct attacks won't harm him much, but the wind pressure alone was enough to damage his form. Tamura Shigaraki was thrown back from the wind pressure. And Izuku, who had meta-knowledge, knew that very well. He simply can't allow Kurogiri to harm 13. Go to sleep for now. Midoriya, fall back immediately. Aizawa was restless. That explosive strength must come at a huge cost. He'll run out of stamina before the fight is over. Midoriya! The startled voice of 13 was loud and clear. She didn't have time to even react. 1 second a black beast attacked Midoriya and the next second the students disappeared. She was panicking but tried her best to remain composed. She was a pro hero, but she didn't specialize in direct combat. You two handle the rest. I'll deal with those 3 guys. Izuku turned to Tamura. He approached him slowly. Kurogiri was knocked out. The Nomu was getting up slowly. Izuku has practically pulverized his insides. The regeneration worked overtime to keep the living corpse alive. Izuku knew where to hit that thing. He knew that the Nomu's weakness must be penetrative force, as he could easily absorb the blunt force, so he attacked with the edge of his staff and broke a gland hole in its heart. How does regeneration work? Simple. It accelerated the process of healing greatly. How? Simply by using the blood cells to heal the body quickly. How? By letting them travel through the veins. From where? The heart. Then just aim for the heart and the entire process will slow down slightly. Izuku had enough basic medical knowledge to know that much. Tamura Shigaraki felt utter fear. The guy he was facing seemed larger and larger the more he approached him. He felt weaker and the pressure made him hyperventilate. He screamed and ran at Izuku, his hand extended to touch him with his 5 fingers. Izuku simply blocked his weak attack with his hand. Haha, fool! With my cheat plug-in no last boss can survive me. Tamura's expression was absolutely thrilled. He smirked in excitement. Yet, the scene of the decaying and dying figure of the green-headed team didn't appear. Tamura looked down and saw the hand he had touched was covered in a black, weird tendrils that wiggled and danced on his skin. Izuku simply stared at him with his crimson-red eyes. Like a bug. Last boss. You think this is a game? Izuku calmly muttered as he peered down directly at his eyes and casted an illusion on him. Shigaraki broke in cold sweat as his figure kept flickering to that of a demon. Izuku wanted to plant a seed of fear. Fear so overwhelming that Shigaraki Tamura simply wouldn't cross him again. Dum 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 dum. Till skin you alive. Why, you monster. Cheater. You're not a hero. Tamira's expression was indignant and horrified. Izuku cocked his hand back. No. I'm your nightmare. Ofa 10%. No! His body won't be capable of tolerating it. He will die from internal bleeding? Nana's voice anxiously spoke. TSK, fine, just because it's you who's asking. 36. Izuku punched Tamira's stomach harshly. The boy fell to the ground and puked his breakfast before passing out. Izuku sighed. One day, I'll try to help you, Tamira Shigaraki. But for now, I can't afford such a luxury. It's coming again, Shishido. Banjo spoke calmly. He and the other past users formed a circle around Izuku. They observed everything from all directions. Izuku turned his head and looked at the approaching Nomu. It was running at him full force. Danger sense didn't pick up anything. The Nomu didn't have malicious intentions after all. It simply obeyed its master's will. It couldn't generate negative thoughts at all. And its master's last wish was his death. Tamira Shigaraki had ordered it to kill Izuku. Ofa 30%. Izuku lowered the output. His hand still hurts from last time. He didn't want to push himself too much. He has King Engine and Hero Aura boosting him, so why go overboard? A staff appeared into his hand again. This thing is meant to counter All Might, Izuku thought to himself. His crimson Sharingan spun ominously, tracking the Nomu's every muscle twitch. Speed 3 enhanced his reflexes. His perception sharpened to a razor's edge. The Nomu launched itself forward with terrifying speed, claws outstretched towards Izuku's eyes. Izuku's instincts kicked in. He whipped Playful Cloud outward, the three sections snapping apart in a fluid motion. The staff extended mid-swing, its chain lengthened to slam into the Nomu's torso like a wrecking ball. The impact reverberated through the area, forcing the Nomu to fly back again. Not bad, Izuku thought, spinning the staff in his hands with a flourish. But this thing's regeneration won't make it easy? He jumped after it. Smoke hung heavy in the air, and the acrid scent of burning metal filled Kirishima's lungs as he parried a villain's attack. Beside him, Bakugo was a relentless storm, detonations erupting from his palms as he fought with a ferocity that bordered on desperation. Kirishima, don't slow me down. Bakugo barked, sweat streaming down his face as he blasted another villain into the wall, cracking it. Kirishima hardened his arms and blocked a flying kick from another assailant. I'm not slowing you down, bro. But we've got to stick together. No point if we get separated. Bakugo didn't respond immediately. His red eyes flicked towards the center of the USJ, where the Nomu had clashed with Izuku. Though the smoke obscured his vision, he could feel the vibrations of the battle through the ground, a battle that he was fighting alone. Damn it, Deku, Bakugo growled under his breath, his teeth grinding. His usual confidence was tinged with something rare, anxiety. What will he tell his mom? His aunt? Himself? I don't need to rely on anyone. Kirishima noticed his expression. You worried about Midoriya? He's strong, man. You heard what he did with that zero-pointer. Bakugo didn't look at him, instead releasing another explosive wave to knock back a group of villains trying to corner them. Shut up. I'm not worried about him. That idiot's gonna screw this up if we don't get back there. His voice cracked slightly, betraying his real thoughts. Although Katsuki was an intolerable person, he wasn't a bad person. He didn't wish for Izuku to die. Kirishima grinned despite the situation. You care more than you let on, don't you? Man, you're full of surprises. Shut your mouth, you red bastard, Bakugo snapped, his palms sparking again. I don't care about that dumb nerd. I just don't want him stealing the spotlight. A larger villain lumbered towards Bakugo, wielding what looked like a steel pipe. You kids should have run while you had the chance, the villain sneered, swinging the weapon with brutal force. Kirishima stepped forward, his skin hardening to an almost metallic sheen. The pipe struck his arm with a loud clang, pushing him back. You'll have to do better than that, he shouted, countering with a hardened punch that the villain blocked. Bakugo took advantage of the opening, leaping forward and unleashing a massive explosion. The blast sent several smaller villains flying, clearing their immediate path. Out of the way, you damn extras, he yelled, his voice strained. If that freak beast doesn't kill Deku, that warp bastard might kidnap him instead. Let's go! Kirishima's expression grew serious. Then let's finish this quick. You take the lead. I've got your back. Chapter 14. The USJ Incident, Finale. Alzawa and 13 were fighting the villains with controlled ease, the combination of Erasure and Black Hole quirks becoming a surprisingly strong combination. With Alzawa's quick movement and the powerful attacks of 13, they made a quick work out of the villains. But Alzawa was desperate. He wanted to assist Izuku. He believed that the boy was running on pure willpower to keep himself standing. He could sense it. The power of each blow Midoriya was trading against that beast. It shook his bones. Faster, faster. Alzawa's speed doubled, and he kept on throwing the villains around like ragdolls. His red eyes glowed dangerously under his mask as he took on the villains' large group. He is just one guy. Kill him, one large villain with an elephant tusk barked. We are trying. Damn it, my water cannon isn't working. I can't use my sound whale too. I'm done for. I can't activate my finger gun at all. Damn you, Eraserhead. Your quirk is bullshit. My instant diarrhea touch won't activate at all. What? Yo, tell that guy to stay away from me. I can't use my quirk either. My skin won't expand at all. 13 dealt with the mutation-type villains while he dealt with the other helpless villains. Help! She's sucking me in. Ao paused with the fuck. Fuck! She got me. I'm bleeding. My leg. My leg. Alzawa's quirk only works on emitter and transformation-type quirks, but 13 covered for his mutation-type weakness. He pulled back his scarf and slammed two villains to each other's heads, knocking them out. Alzawa didn't know what was happening anymore. One moment villains attacked, and the next moment Midoriya's loud deafening heartbeat sent him spiraling. Just what the hell is happening today? Back with Izuku, the Nomu recovered almost instantly, roaring as it charged again. This time, Izuku met its advance head-on. He swung playful cloud upward, aiming for the tall creature's throat. The segmented staff extended mid-swing, striking the Nomu's throat and penetrating its brain with a sickening splash. Without pausing, Izuku twisted his body, pulling and whipping the staff in a horizontal arc that slammed into the Nomu's ribs, sending it flying and created distance between them. Izuku breathed calmly. He was in control, so far. Speed, that was his advantage. While the Nomu was an immovable object, he was an unstoppable force. He was certain, with his current body, he can do this all day. Yet can he win? No. He watched as the Nomu got up again, the penetrated brain and spinal nerves regenerating in real UME. Injuries kept piling up on his body, but the thing was unscathed. Fascinating. Izuku wished he had this in his arsenal. With the help of such a quirk, he can unleash 100% all the time without caring about the consequences. The Nomu retaliated, its massive hand swiping towards him. Izuku dodged effortlessly, speed 3 allowing him to weave through the beast like a phantom. The staff's chain whirled around him as he redirected its motion, transforming it into a defensive barrier that deflected the Nomu's blows. Let's see how you handle this. Izuku growled, planting his feet as he swung the staff downward. Izuku was prideful. The beast took his attacks that could shake a mountain with ease. It irked him. He felt inferior. The segmented section split apart midair, crashing down like a flail onto the Nomu's shoulder and almost splitting it. The force of the impact created a shockwave that rippled outward, sending debris flying everywhere at high speeds. The Nomu roared in pain, but its regeneration kicked in, healing the damage almost instantly. Of course, Izuku muttered, sweat dripping down his brow. I need to outlast it or hit harder than it can recover. The scene of All Might punching it so hard that it flew outside the dome entered his mind. Izuku grumbled at the thought of that. Too painful, hell no. The Nomu attacked Izuku. He tried to weave but was held by his leg. Shit! It got faster. What Izuku didn't know is that the normal human brain had a limiter on the muscles of the body to prevent injuries. That part was removed from the beast's brain. As such, it dashed forward so hard its legs blew out. The Nomu clenched hard on his leg, almost crushing his leg if not for OFA's defensive power. Ugh! The sight of the zombified half-beast struck fear into his heart. Hawa! Izuku's staff extended mid-swing and struck the beast, sending it flying again. The Nomu bit into his leg and dragged him with it. Fuck! Izuku cried out in pain, panic overwhelming his rational thinking. All Might blew the gate of the facility, his face not showing a smile. His furious eyes scanned the scene and landed on the flying figures. He jumped after them. In a different area, landslide zone. Shoto landed using an ice slide. He found himself in a different area. Everything around him was filled with debris and rocks, only his pink and invisible classmate were with him. Multiple figures appeared. They all had land-related quirks as they were surging from the ground like a swimmer from a pool of water. Well, look who we have. Shoto's legs slammed down and froze the entire area immediately. He let out a cold exhale. He needed information, fast. Talk now or die from necrosis. His eyes leered down ominously. Mountain Zone. Kurogiri, who was inspired by Izuku's King Engine, used her quirk to enhance the sound of her heartbeat to stun the villains. Now, Kamen Art. She clung to Momo, who created an insulated blanket to cover them. Kaminari unleashed a powerful electric current in all directions and fried everyone, including his own IQ. We need to join with Midoriya's quickly. Momo spoke calmly under the thick blanket, her upper body fully naked. Kyoko blushed. Yaoyorozu-san. Your shirt got damaged. Till make another one. They got out but were intercepted by a villain that survived the attack. He held Kaminari hostage. Momo's brain moved miles a second, trying to think of something. Just when she was about to make a stun gun, she heard a loud explosion that startled her. Die! Fire zone. Ochaku approached the villain with fast speed. She used her quirk to make herself light in weight. He tried to blow fire at her, but she jumped high using her quirk and exited his range of fire. A loud whistle was heard, and a bird attacked the face of the villain, distracting him. Ochako's eyes sharpened. She used her chance to touch his leg. The villain flew high. Now! On it! Zero unleashed his tape and held on the villain tightly. Release! Ochako released her hold on villain. Zero used the falling momentum of the screaming villain to slam him into the ground, hard enough to knock him out. Uraraka looked at Zero, Sato, and the Meat Coda. They all had villains below them, all tied with a tape. Let's go! Midoriya boy! Izuku smirked as blood was falling from his nose. His savior is here. Took you long enough, old man. He wiped his nose with his forearm. Detroit. Smash! All Might slammed his fist at the Nomu's ribs, freeing Izuku. Izuku used his chance and slammed the Nomu's chest with the staff. It extended mid-swing and managed on creating a large distance between them. Izuku knew that the knockback effect of his staff's effect overwhelmed the absorption. In fact, if not for the absorption, he would have torn apart this beast long ago and destroyed most of the USJ arena. No way, don't underestimate the ability of Playful Cloud. Yet, why didn't Izuku simply call for Aizawa to cancel its absorption? It's to distract Aizawa. Izuku had a plan in mind. Uck! He winced as he noticed that most likely his leg had a crack in its bone. All Might stood shocked at the massive display of power that Izuku just emitted. Fall back, Midoriya boy? His face hardened as he approached the beast. No can do, it's strong, made to kill you they say? What? Details later. You handle the right side, I'll handle the left one. Izuku ran with insane speed at the Nomu, ignoring his pain. His body had high pain tolerance after all. Wait! All Might followed. The students had gathered at the main area, Kirishima holding onto the shoulder of Kaminari as Bakugo narrowed his eyes at the scene. Aizawa and 13 were watching anxiously. They looked tired but watched Izuku with great interest. They were moving too fast for Aizawa to track. Potential. Large, huge, unpolished diamond ready for a polishing. That's their shared thought regarding Izuku. Izuku and All Might ganged up on the Nomu and proceeded to beat it repeatedly. All Might was exhilarated, a huge smile on his face as he saw Izuku manhandle the beast. He was proud of him. Like a father would. The class stood in shock as Izuku whipped his weapon at the beast's leg and pulled hard to trip it. The Nomu tried to get up, only for All Might to jump in and proc to hammer punches on its face. They've seen Izuku perform so many martial art moves in record time, as if he was a master and had done them for years. He used the staff thing like an extension of his body. The beast kicked All Might and jumped high to free itself. "No, you won't." Ha ha ha. All Might laughed loudly as Izuku slammed the beast with his staff again, sending it down for him. All Might said it's for Midoriya's training, so I can't interfere for now. They look like they can handle it. Aizawa spoke calmly. The student stared at Aizawa speechlessly. Aizawa looked at All Might's face tiredly. 13 stopped thinking altogether. She wanted to go back and hug her husband to sleep. Training? Is he serious? That's training? Shinso was dumbfounded. Yet, as they watched the overjoyed expression on Midoriya's face as he manhandled the Nomu, they couldn't say a word. He was fast. Faster than the thing, so fast it's not even fair to watch. He was playing with it, treating it like a punching bag. But the beast had insanely fast reactions. It retaliated instantly, using 1000% of its power for everything. But it couldn't win with All Might into the mix. They watched as Izuku punched it. It tried to retaliate but got punched again on the other side by All Might. It turned and got punched again by Izuku. This kept on going for a while. Hundreds of punches rained on the beast, making it convulse from the impacts. Somehow, it looked like they were bullying the beast. Some girls even felt like cheering for the beast. This is the problem with being strong. No one is capable of being your equal. No one is capable of pushing your limits. Aizawa broke the silence with a knowing gaze. He believed that he understood Midoriya's struggle. He knew countless people like him existed. They all craved one thing: the rush of power, the surge of adrenaline, to feel truly alive on the brink of death. Even All Might knew that. He fought such people regularly. He was one himself. He probably didn't ask me for heavy training to not worsen my condition. All Might smiled fondly as he did a somersault jump to escape the Nomu's hands. Izuku interjected and did multiple quick jabs at the beast using his staff to drill holes into its body. He doesn't need me anymore. All Might landed with a heavy punch. He started thinking about his retirement. The figure of a happy green woman appeared in his mind again. Bakugo stared speechlessly. I lost, he smiled, defeated. He has been surpassed and beaten thoroughly. The thought of what would happen to him if he fought this beast was answered immediately. Death. The instant kind. Deku. Midoriya had been holding back against me. I was never an equal. Like a man facing the collision of two planets, he simply gave up struggling and watched to learn from the fight of the two. They were fast. He can't track them with his eyes. He couldn't even learn from them. He wasn't strong enough to even learn from them. Katsuki Bakugo clenched his fists. I might not be able to surpass him yet, but I can still surpass him later. Yet as the thought of Izuku lingered, he imagined how strong he would grow later. After all, he wouldn't stand still and let him surpass him. He never did. The image of the weak and frail helpless green kid was erased from his mind and replaced with a mighty warrior that he looked up to from below. Shinso stared at Shoto and Bakugo. Shoto's face was thoughtful, and Bakugo was silent. To be capable of silencing Bakugo himself, Shinso thought that Izuku must simply be a different breed. The girls watched Izuku's happy, exhilarated, handsome face as he danced around the battlefield. He looked high on life. Like a bird free from its cage. It finally learned that it could fly. He finally learned the full strength he holds. He was strong. Strong enough to show a beautiful, happy smile while fighting to death. Even the playful Ashido blushed slightly at the sight of his smile. It was bright and full of life. It could make any woman stare in wonder. Coupled with his face, it was simply unfair. Yet, the girls didn't understand at all. Why would someone enjoy fighting like that? The weak simply couldn't even fathom the joy of combat with the strong. Most of the people wouldn't. The students didn't know that this beast was designed to take down the symbol of peace. No one knew. Midoriya didn't even give the villains the chance to monologue at all. If they knew, they would be even more astonished. Back with Izuku though, he was looking at the Nomu with a calculated gaze. He was doing it on purpose. He was trying to distract them all with the raging fight so that Tamura Shigaraki could escape. Why? Simply because Nana Shimura wanted him to save Tamura, and letting that guy get captured by the heroes is a game over. He'll be stuck in jail for a couple of days, and Izuku knew that All for One will free him anyway. Izuku knew that sending Tamura Shigaraki to jail will lead to the death of the entire prison unit that was responsible for detaining him. The existence of Shigaraki Tamura held a high value for All for One. Taking him or freeing him is forbidden for now. Especially when Izuku himself was this weak. If he can't handle the minion Nomu alone, how can he handle the mastermind behind it? As to his personal reason for doing this, it was much more complicated. Izuku had plans, and Shigaraki Tamura was a necessary part of them. With the agreement of every user of OFA except Hikage, he wanted to let him go free. Izuku wished to use Tamura Shigaraki to destroy the Paranormal Liberation Army. He, a hero, simply couldn't permanently get rid of them. Sure, he can throw them in prison, but knowing them, they would likely spread their ideals in prison and exit it tenfold stronger and larger in number. No way, this is a cult of tens of thousands of people. They can occupy an entire large city. Their combined financial power was freighting, their influence is ever expanding, and their recruitment is never ending. Their mission was simple: the collapse of society. Izuku's mission was also simple: the collapse of their existence. That cult was a growing tumor, and Izuku wished to kill all of its members before they became a global problem. For that, Shigaraki Tamura must escape today. Shigaraki Tamura is the one white blood cell that will kill this cancerous tumor. Izuku tightened his grip on Playful Cloud, his Sharingan glowing brighter as he gazed at the Nomu's eyes. The Nomu attacked him, or what should be him, as his hand went through him like a ghost. Genjutsu. Izuku always wanted to use it but struggled to find a chance. He was afraid that it would harm the people he cared about that he was using it on. After all, so far, Izuku never met a direct enemy who he wished to kill. Low level as it may, the One-Tomo Sharingan's illusion is very useful in intense direct combat. Although it consumed stamina to cast illusions, it wasn't an issue for Izuku. Izuku laughed. At first, he was terrified of this thing, but now that he actually fought it with Playful Cloud on his hand, it's a relatively easy fight. Especially with All Might by his side. The stronger the user, the stronger the attack. It's basically built for me, the ninth user and the one with the most destructive power. Focus. Hikage's calm voice interrupted his fast thoughts. The creature lunged again, its claws inches from his face. Izuku ducked low, spinning Playful Cloud around his body in a rapid motion. The chains whipped outward, wrapping around the Nomu's arm. All Might stood aside and observed him with a grin. He liked every action Izuku made, it was perfect. But All Might wanted to end this soon. As energetic as Midoriya was, he was getting tired. With a sharp tug, Izuku pulled the creature off balance, slamming it into the ground. Before the Nomu could recover, Izuku leapt into the air, bringing the staff down in a two-handed strike. The impact was immense, the Nomu's head slamming into the concrete with a deafening crash, his brain destroyed again. He is having fun, he is learning rapidly and realizing his actual strength. All Might smiled. Izuku had one thought going through his brain, the thought that he was limitless. No matter how much Izuku moved, he didn't tire at all, like a car engine strapped to a nuclear power plant. He simply can't spin faster than it can generate. The beast swung at him, and Izuku jumped as he stared at where he hid Tamura and Kurogiri's body from the prying eyes of his teachers after the arrival of All Might. They were gone, both of them. They ran away using warp. Mission complete. Also essential, undone training TM. Izuku spoke loudly as he dodged a strike and held the beast in place with the help of All Might. Glowing red eyes peered directly at the Nomu, its regeneration and shock absorption disabled. Izuku decided to kill the beast. It was too strong for an average fighter. Heck, even All Might will struggle very much with this thing. What if All for One managed to steal it after they throw it in containment? The image of a wild, unkillable Nomu running after his mother appeared. No. Ofa 40%. Final impact. With a loud deafening sound bomb, Izuku hit the Nomu's head hard with his staff. All Might shielded his mouth with his forearm from the rushing dirt. The Nomu's head was buried down, its legs went up before falling down slowly. The people watching him from afar felt a strong gust of wind and shielded their eyes. They felt the end of the fight and slowly took off their earplugs that Momo created for them a while ago. The creature went still as his brain stopped thinking. Without regeneration its heart couldn't beat anymore, and it simply stopped. A single tear fell from its face as it passed away. No one noticed it. Izuku stood tall in the crater his attack created, panting slowly. "You're in trouble, young man." Izuku heard the shouting of Alzawa from a distance and groaned. All Might laughed. Chapter 15. Aftermath. Main quest: Survived USJ incident. Complete. Rewards: Defense 3, passive. Significantly enhances the user's defenses. Side quest: Fight the Nomu and win. Complete. Rewards: Sleeping gas, active. An odorless invisible gas that can be emitted from the skin, puts a target into deep sleep that can last up to 8 hours. The students were given an exemption from the rest of the classes. The police arrived with the staff of UA and they started to clean up the aftermath, taking the corpse of the Nomu in a stretcher. The students returned to the classroom and were met with multiple officers, not giving them time to mentally relax. While that was happening, Izuku went to Recovery Girl's office. She kept on hitting him with her cane, but it simply didn't hurt. Defense 3, this ability gave him overall better defense in everything, externally and internally. Izuku felt it. There was a certain barrier that protected his skin. Attacks did connect but nothing was felt. It was odd. Izuku could feel the cane touching him, pushing his head and colliding with his skin. But there was nothing there. No pain at all. It was an odd and indescribable sensation. The best way he could explain it is that the damage was absorbed by something. It just protected him. That's all he knew. How and to what extent? Izuku wanted to experiment and find out later. Recovery Girl finally yielded and began to treat Izuku's body begrudgingly. Her lips extended and landed on his forehead. She drew on his life force and began to heal him. Quirk overuse, fractured leg, internal bleeding from the hand and muscle strawl. She paused briefly as she felt the massive amounts of stamina inside Izuku. It has expanded again. Stamina 3, a perk that enhances the user's base stamina level greatly. With the growing of the basic stamina of the user, it shall grow with it and multiply that value. Izuku himself didn't know that. The stamina was so large that he just called it infinite. So far, only Recovery Girl noticed its increase. She could feel it. It was like an explosive aura was inside his cells. She can't find the source at all. It wasn't generated by the cells, but it was there. As if an external factor injected it into the cells. This was beyond a quirk, as the quirk would need the body as a base. This is a superpower that goes beyond the logic of quirks. A genetic mutation? Is this the work of Yager's quirk? Recovery Girl thought that she has discovered something she shouldn't, a secret that mustn't be told to protect her own peaceful life. Still, what a monster. After a brief scolding from Recovery Girl, Izuku stole a candy bar and ran off. Luckily he was injured, so he used this chance to escape the interrogation of the school and dashed home. If he wanted to leave the school, nothing can stop him, not with his speed. He returned home and hurriedly ate and went to his room. She doesn't know how strong I truly am, so telling her will just stress her out. Izuku pulled out a stack of papers and a pen and began to write and draw illustrations. He closed his eyes and slept. Tomorrow is going to be a long day, so he must be prepared. Finally! I was trying to contact you for hours. Banjo spoke in a frustrated tone. Izuku looked around him. He was in the void. What do you mean? I never heard a thing from any of you. What? Was our connection disrupted? Hikage looked uncertain. Izuku looked lost in thought. The last time he spoke with them was before accepting his rewards. Oh! It's Defense 3, it blocked you as a form of mental attack, so it protected my mind as well. That's not cool, Shishido. I want to see and hear the outside world too. I understand, I'll see what I can do later. Please do. Nana nodded. Next day. Izuku entered his class and immediately the calm heavy mood exploded with cheers and congratulations. Izuku tried his best to calm them before Aizawa arrived, but he failed miserably. Tell us everything. You're so strong, Izuku-chan. You are scary as hell. Is your heart okay? You should get it checked. What was that weapon? Mini Might. What's up with that title? As expected a president? Indeed, Yaoyorozu-san, Midoriya is truly one of the most fitting to enter in this elite institution. You were like bam then bam and the thing was flying everywhere? You really fought with All Might like an equal. It honestly looked cruel for the beast. TSK. Well done, Midoriya. Izuku honestly wanted to ask All Might to teach him how to handle a large crowd after this. That man handled the press all the time. Still, he was secretly happy that they weren't scared of him, they trusted him enough to not fear what he can do. Izuku felt relieved, an invisible weight lifted from his shoulders. Aizawa entered the class, and all the excited chatter died down instantly. Maybe he should ask Aizawa instead of All Might. Aizawa's gaze was sharp. If a look can kill, then Izuku would be torn to pieces by now. Yesterday this kid snuck out without permission, so he was now beyond angry with this problem child. The principal wants to have a word with you. Now. At least be a little happy that I saved everyone. Izuku sighed, he smiled calmly and nodded. Okay. Vice President, I'll leave the class in your care. Keep everyone calm until we return. Yes. Momo nodded seriously, as if she was entrusted with a great task. Izuku left the class with Aizawa and entered the principal office. He saw multiple teachers sitting around a table, All Might in his frail form and a detective he can't remember from his meta-knowledge memories. Not so much a secret anymore, Yavi-sensei. All Might coughed in embarrassment. He was indeed horrible at keeping his secret identity. It was true, almost everyone that All Might was close to knew his secret injury, but they were trustworthy, so it's okay. Plus, he really can't maintain his form for too long inside the school, so being exposed is inevitable. Welcome, Midoriya-kun. Izuku turned his gaze to Nizu, a rat bear variant animal. His eyes scanned the scars on his face, hidden by fur. Izuku knew this animal's past. He had been experimented on due to his quirk, high specs, a quirk that granted the animal high intelligence. He managed to run away and help to build the current world banks, systems, laws, and many more things to stabilize Quirk society. Eventually he settled on a fort that he named UA High School. He used his vast resources to bring the best of the best to UA to be teachers, as a way to nurture the future generation and to protect himself from the government. A truly admirable man, Izuku considered him a great human and had the highest of respect for him. If put into his position and going through everything he went though, Shishido was certain that he would become a villain and lose his mind. Perhaps high specs protected Nizu's brain from madness. Hikage muttered in interest. Shishido has managed to return the connection with the previous users with a thought. He could also cut the connection with a thought too, like flipping a switch. He could now hide his internal thoughts as well. Any thought that he considers private won't be heard. They don't know that though. Defense 3 was his most loved ability, even Stamina 3 can't compare. He wished that he could share his defense with others though. Like a shield. Regardless, animals have quirks, nothing out of the ordinary in this chaotic world. Principal. Izuku bowed in greeting like a proper Japanese would, his tone respectful. No need to be so formal. Nizu waved his hands cheerfully. This person is. Izuku looked at tall man with short, black hair and somewhat rectangular black eyes. He wore detective clothes. Ah, allow me to introduce you. This is Detective Tsukachi, a dear friend of mine. He is here to investigate the events of the villain's attack yesterday, All Might said quickly. Izuku's eyes glinted as he remembered him. It was the cheerful guy that met the original Izuku at the infirmary with All Might. He later was shown at the Paranormal Liberation arc in a disheveled face and baggy eyes from exhaustion, having lost his smile. Naomi Satsukokt. All for One stole a lie detection quirk from his predecessors. He most likely has a lie detecting quirk. Tread carefully with him and your words today. Luckily, you can think fast, Hikage quickly said. Izuku's eyes widened. He didn't know that. Thanks. Pleased to finally meet you, young Midoriya. I have heard many things about you. The pleasure is mine, Mr. Tsukauchi. Any friend of my sensei is a friend of mine. Izuku nodded his head respectfully. First, as the principal of this school, me and the entire staff would like to sincerely thank you for saving everyone. Nisa spoke and bowed. Ah, this rat is so sweet, I kinda wanna bite it, is that weird? Nana cooed. Yes. X3. Izuku stood in the center of the principal's office, his green eyes sharp and unyielding. He was surrounded by the most intimidating figures UA had to offer. All Might in his skeletal form, sitting with his usual reassuring yet weary smile, he was hiding something, Shishido was certain. Knowing him as well as I do, he might be angry at himself for arriving late and putting the students in danger, that idiot. Nana spoke with a soft smile. Or he was angry because they haven't called off the sports festival after the attack, Hikage muttered. Perhaps he was discussing your punishment with everyone and didn't like what he heard. Banjo said slowly. I won't let them punish me, in fact, I'll be demanding a reward. Shishido's eyes sharpened. Aizawa slouched in his chair with his signature tired gaze fixed on Izuku. Present Mike, whose usual flamboyance was dampened as he leaned back, arms crossed. Vlad King looked at him calmly, a hidden curiosity in his gaze. He must have heard about your performance at USJ. Hikage mused. Don't care about 1B, the only thing great about them is the girls. Izuku carelessly dismissed him. Damn, Banjo shook his head. Midnight, she was eyeing him with great interest as she leaned on the table. I don't like this one's gaze. Nana said with a glare. I do. Banjo smirked as he eyed her tight costume with a smirk. Snipe, silent but imposing with his cowboy hat tilted forward, Izuku couldn't see his face. At the center of it all sat Principal Nizu, his small frame giving no indication of the intellectual might contained within his body. Now I have something else to say. Nizu spoke friendly, though his eyes changed. Chapter 16. I can't control him. I see, the carrot and stick method. He thanked you then will most likely criticize you now to teach you a lesson, Hikage muttered. It seems like I'm looked down upon here. To judge someone you have to be better than them. None of these people are worthy of judging me. Well, just All Might I guess. He saved my life after all, Shishido replied. Midoriya, Nizu began, his voice calm but firm, your actions during the USJ attack were reckless. While your bravery is commendable, stepping into a confrontation with that Nomu placed not just yourself but others at risk. Izuku straightened his back, his gaze unwavering. With all due respect, Principal Nizu, I disagree. My actions weren't reckless, they were calculated. I knew the risks, and I knew I had the tools to handle them. Aizawa raised an eyebrow. Calculated? You engaged with a creature specifically designed to kill All Might. That's hardly what I'd call a rational decision. You disobeyed my orders. This feels personal. Banjo narrowed his eyes. Izuku turned to him, his expression calm but resolute. And yet I succeeded in neutralizing it. If I hadn't acted, what would have happened to my classmates? To you, since. Aizawa frowned but said nothing. Izuku's words cut deeper than he cared to admit. He was weak. What about that weapon? Where did you get it? Snipe asked calmly. I took it from one of the villains. I didn't see you do that. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. I'm too fast for the naked eye to see, Sensei. Vlad King widened his eyes. Nizu interjected, his tone sharp but measured. You're ignoring a key factor, Midoriya-kun. Your intervention has escalated the situation further. The others could have joined in and got injured, the Nomu could have harmed them. It would have had to go through me first. Izuku spoke calmly as he gazed at him. Shishido felt his patience slipping. Are you trying to punish me for saving everyone? He narrowed his eyes. We are not here to punish you, Midoriya. We called you to warn you about doing this again. Don't directly engage with a villain without permission from your teachers. Remember your position as class president. Your classmates are the priority? President Mike eyed Izuku calmly, his face stoic. So, it's a personal thing because you ignored Aizawa's orders. Nana chuckled. Izuku turned fully towards President Mike, his lips pressing into a thin line. He knew that he was a mere student, but still, it was painful to hear it. Sensei, I don't think you're considering the full picture. The Nomu was already fixated on us, and my actions ensured it didn't leave my grasp. I contained the threat, giving my classmates a chance to escape. What you did was too dangerous. We are simply telling you to listen to your teachers, Vlad King said softly. Work together and not alone. A hero going against danger alone is not wise. All Might looked away, sweat pouring from his face. Izuku approached and leaned forward slightly, placing his hands on the desk. Oh shit, they triggered him. Banjo got ready to watch the show with great interest. And isn't hero work inherently dangerous? Isn't every hero forced to make split-second decisions based on the situation? I made a choice, and it worked. If I hadn't acted, there's a good chance we'd be mourning casualties right now. Izuku took a deep breath and pointed at them accusingly. Plus, wasn't it your job to protect us, the students? Why am I scolded for saving everyone? Shouldn't you shower me with gratitude? I saved the entirety of Class 1A. Get them, Shishido! Banjo grinned and cheered. OL Hikage smacked Banjo's head. It is your incompetence that forced a first-year student against a living weapon designed to kill All Might himself. Izuku's calm and angry voice reverberated through the room. It shut down everyone instantly. Okay, that's too much. Not their fault that an attack happened, Banjo interjected, his previous smile gone. Izuku, you are escalating the situa. This is my pride as a man, do not interfere. Izuku cut the connection with the past users instantly. Enough, Midoriya boy? All Might warned, his expression stern. All Might didn't wish to see Izuku expelled. He knew what the boy was feeling, and he couldn't blame him. He too was displeased with the school's management. Ha, a week detention my ass. My boy should be rewarded. And if Izuku were to be expelled, he'd transfer from UA to Shiketsu High School within next year, he was 100% certain. After all, the main reason that All Might applied to U.A was to train his successor and the future generation. Not for the school itself, any future generation will do. It doesn't have to be from this school itself. Multiple teachers remained in this school because he was here. Once he leaves they shall accompany him. Niza looked at All Might and the other teachers calmly. Niza calmed down instantly as he knew that he let his emotions reign his judgment. I can't control this student. Niza knew that he had no argument. He failed to protect them after all. Some may blame All Might for arriving late, but he knew that the main blame was on him, the headmaster of this school that is entrusted with the students' lives. President Mike whistled low, breaking the tense silence. Kid's got a point, he said, his usual energy creeping back into his voice. Heroes gotta act fast in the field, it's our fault to begin with. Aizawa shot him a warning look. This isn't about whether his actions were effective. It's about whether they were correct. He ignored his teacher's warning. Izuku turned his attention to Aizawa, his voice steady. I was the only one in a position to act. The others were either incapacitated or evacuating. I made the best choice I could under the circumstances as an inexperienced hero. Midoriya boy, be respectful to your teachers. All Might rubbed his eyebrows helplessly. Dealing with hormonal teenagers is exhausting. All Might understood his teacher's struggles with him from his memories. Izuku's gaze softened slightly as he looked at All Might. I understand that, Str. And I'm willing to accept any consequences for my actions. But I stand by what I did. All Might sighed. We found multiple deceased villains near the flood zone. Do you have any info regarding that? Testimonies from your classmates stated an explosion had occurred inside the lake. Naomi Satsukachi spoke seriously. The entire room focused sharply on Izuku. I wouldn't know. I was never there to begin with. Throughout the entire attack I never left the main entrance area. Technically Izuku wasn't lying, he was not there, and he didn't know what actually happened from his attack. Naomi Satsukachi stared for a second, then nodded with a smile and wrote in his notebook. Possible internal conflict between the villains, no suspects found. Aizawa tapped his finger on the desk, a contemplative expression on his face. You're right, Midoriya. However, we can't encourage such behavior in the future, it breaks the school's protocol. That's right. You are not to repeat. President Mike spoke, but Izuku interrupted by pulling a folder from his pocket and placing it on the desk in front of Nizu. On another note, I managed to gather information. A vein appeared on President Mick's forehead. The detective approached the files with a glint of interest in his eyes. Excellent work, Midoriya-kun. Izuku nodded friendly, ignoring the glare of President Mike. Shishido didn't care about any protocol that Nizu wanted to enforce on him. Whatever this creature wants to do didn't matter. He had no power against him, especially after he stopped that Nomu. Nor did Shishido care about Aizawa or anyone here in that regard. The only one who mattered to him in this room was All Might. Punish me? Please do, by all means. I'll just leave your school. I wish to see you handle the League of Villains alone without me, who stopped a weapon designed to kill All Might. The public wrath if they found out you rewarded my efforts with a punishment. The backlash of All Might himself leaving your school after only a week will be enough to publicly destroy you. One wrong move against me and everything you've built over your life will be torn apart. Checkmate, Nizu. Nizu eyed the folder silently. It's been a long time since someone managed to silence him. Midnight smirked in excitement as she saw Izuku's actions. As expected, against the power of youth an old rat simply can't compare. She licked her lips as she eyed Izuku. She couldn't help but think that this young man is strong, mentally and physically. If Nana was here, she would deliver kind words towards her by now. Unfortunately, she was stuck in a black void with two other idiots. That kid will be the death of me. Nana spoke inside the void, sighing bitterly. You're already dead though. Banjo side-eyed her. Maybe the dead villains are getting to him. Hikage contemplated. Probably hormones. He's 23 up there but 15 down there. Banjo shook his head. Don't blame him, it must be hard being a man inside the body of a boy. Hikage sighed. True, it must be hard being treated like a man-child, right? Banjo-san? Nana replied with a smile. Yeah, it must be hard. Walt, why are you asking me? What do you mean, you old hag? Era, you're jumping to conclusions here. I didn't mean that. Is that so? I see. I'm sore asterisk. After all, you're not a man-child, you're a child. Banjo ran after Nana with sharp black tendrils aiming at her throat. Nana jumped up high with a mocking sneer. Hikage sighed. The room fell silent as Naomi Satsukachi opened the folder. Inside were meticulously drawn illustrations of people with names and information below them. Tsukachi-kun, a projector please, Nedza calmly spoke. Yes. Tsukok pulled out a small device from his hat. 777. Izuku was dumbfounded as to why this man carried a projector in his hat to begin with. Inspector Gadget 77-inch. Niza held the small projector, and the illustrations were broadcasted onto the TV. Niza's whiskers twitched as he examined the folder. His small paws flipped through the pages. Izuku began to speak. Shigaraki Tamura, as shown in the picture, has the quirk decay. He can kill anyone he touches and can decay all matter. I suspect that it was him who managed to sneak into UA last time the press breached the gate. Niza froze. He remembered the dust on his defense system at the door. It makes sense. How does he know the gates were destroyed? I never stated that. I said that a malfunction happened. Nizu eyed Izuku with a new light. He wasn't just smart anymore, he was a genius. If only they knew that Izuku already knew all of this from his men knowledge and not his detective abilities. Izuku is indeed smart though. Anyone who could think as fast as Izuku will be labeled smart and well-articulated. He learned so much information every day that he could be a professional in certain fields. His Japanese vocabulary was very vast. Next is the Nomu. It had two quirks, one is regeneration, and the other is shock absorption. It had a scientifically modified body that was abnormally strong. All Might froze, his back straight with cold sweat. He didn't know that. He couldn't find out from his fight with it. He thought that it only had regeneration. How could he when he and Izuku kept on hammering the beast non-stop? The beast never had the chance to retaliate. So, the attack was his doing. If only All Might knew that the real reason he couldn't find out was that Izuku's staff rivaled the shock absorption of the beast. The last illustration shows the figure of Kurogiri. I heard from someone that he was also a Nomu and was originally called Oboro Shirakumo. Izuku wasn't technically lying since that someone was Aizawa from his meta-knowledge of this world. He chose his words very carefully. Aizawa paused, his eyes constricting in shock. Kayama and Yamada froze. Chapter 17. Kurogiri, Origin. A 16-year-old Aizawa Shoto walked on his way to Udana High School. At such a young age, Aizawa had social anxiety and no confidence in himself. My quirk isn't flashy like All Might. It was raining heavily. He walked with his umbrella and heard a whimper of a cat. Aizawa considered taking the kitten with him but chose not to. I can't take care of myself, let alone a cat. He approached the abandoned kitten and placed his umbrella on it, shielding it from the rain. Ever since I was a kid, I couldn't even picture myself saving a cat. That's how I see myself. Aizawa Shoto ran to school. He entered his class, 2A, soaked. You forgot your umbrella? The teacher, a man with a jewel on his head, eyed him with a scowl. Oh, yeah, since I'm in a gloomy mood today it doesn't matter. Aizawa entered the class. Have it your way, but don't come when your mood leaves you with a cold. Managing your own health is also part of your duties as a student that is walking the path of a hero, the teacher replied calmly. Hero? Path? I'm having a hard time picturing it. Aizawa sat on his stool with a sad look. Powerless. He muttered. Here we go. Shot Aizawa's gloomy Gus routine. Let's hear it again since it's so funny. Powerless. Hisashi Yamada leaned on Aizawa and spoke, haha, what a charmer. Shove it. Aizawa replied lazily. Whoa there Hisashi, you got your hands all over Aizawa. Aizawa turned and saw his friend, Oboro Shirakumo, riding a cloud outside the window of the third floor. Oi Shirakumo! You're late again. The teacher barked in irritation. Haha, my bad. Oboro entered the classroom. I got distracted on the way of life. Oboro pulled out a kitten. I saw this little guy alone under the rain. Some guy left him an umbrella though. Aizawa looked at the cat silently. Take the cat out after class, but for now roll call. Boys first, the teacher began, rolling his eyes at Shirakumo's actions. Aizawa. Here. Tendo. Yeah. Niragi. Shirakumo. Here. Mushimori. Here. Yamada. Yawa. Pipe it down, Yamada. Aizawa looked at the cat resting on Oboro's cloud. Oboro noticed his gaze and smiled with a thumb up. Summer vacation is closing in. Typically most students do work study during their time, but some haven't finished. I'm talking about you three, of course. Aizawa. Right. Shirakumo. Yep. Yamada. Yeah. Pipe down, Yamada. Anyhow, grab your costumes and gather outside. Today we will be doing some joint practical work with class 2 to 8. The teacher calmly spoke. Aizawa quickly wore his clothes and ran out with the others. First, we will start with battle training. Oboro rode his clouds and destroyed the other team using his strategy of riding the cloud and hitting them with his staff. Aizawa barely passed. Next, rescue training. Oboro threw multiple heavy dummies on his cloud and saved them. Aizawa dragged 2 heavy dummies and barely passed. Next, entertainer lessons, play with the crowd and to de-escalate tension. Haha. Oboro and Yamada danced and sang on a white cloud without their shirts happily. Aizawa danced awkwardly and fidgeted, he barely passed. 3 teachers sat inside a room, discussing the results of different students. I see, so you have 3 work studies students left incomplete? Yamada, Aizawa, Shirakumo. Ugh, the loud 2 are among them. Yeah. The performance of Shirakumo is nothing notable in academics, but I personally believe he will make a good hero with his go-get-it attitude. Yamada doesn't have a problem, but he changes his style too quickly and doesn't settle on anything. Perhaps he is the type of hero that wears silly costumes in the future. The problem is Aizawa. He really is trying hard. His practical and written exam results are quite high, but he seems unmotivated with no planned path for his future. Just like the other day. You suck, Aizawa. A gruff, tall, muscular classmate pushed Aizawa down and mocked him. Your quirk is just not flashy. Erase my quirk, then what? Twiddling with that scarf of yours? Aizawa looked down. Battling against you is a total snooze. My quirk, laser spot, is better suited for hero work. 2 small flickering lasers shot out from the holes in his hands. OL, Sensoj. Who do you think you are, you bastard? Oboro protected Aizawa and pointed his staff at Sensor. That's right, back off, Sparkler. Yamada pushed the big guy back. A loud whistle was heard and the teacher barked out. Sensoji, dirty talk won't win you any fights? TCH, weakling. He walked out in disdain. Aizawa remained down, his long hair covered his face. Get back here, Sensoji. The training isn't over. You okay, Aizawa? Oboro asked worriedly. Yeah, not like I can do anything. I was born with this quirk and that's final. X2. Aizawa, Oboro, and Yamada sat on the rooftop of the school, eating lunch together. All this talk about heroes and everything, I simply can't relate. Aizawa munched on his food. All my quirk does is trip people up a bit. Compared to a flashy person, I simply can't compare. I can't imagine myself making someone smile either. Oboro, who was munching on his food, spoke with food in his mouth. Yeah. So how about tripping up villains? He a brawler. I have a hard time picturing him doing it. Yamada munched on his hot dog. Then we'll help. With Aizawa's quirk of erasing all quirks, we'll put any villains on equal ground, and with the combined efforts of me and Yamada, we'll be invincible. The invincible Big Three. Yamada's eyes glinted in excitement. So you're telling me that I have to mooch off on you too? Aizawa spoke tiredly. No, we'll do the opening scene and the closing scene while you handle all the rest. Oboro spoke confidently. That's right. It'll work out. Yamada added cheerfully. Walt, now that you put it that way, I'm going to do all the work. Aizawa spoke hesitantly. Ha ha ha. Yamada laughed loudly. You 3, what are you doing here on the roof? Eating here is against the rules. A feminine figure jumped down. And this is what youth is all about? She added with a glint in her eyes. Oh, it's that 3rd year, Kayama, right? Yamada spoke casually. Kayama in question wore almost nothing. Her hero costume was a simple coat and small tool bags to cover her chest, barely. She wore a tool belt to cover for her nether region, barely. Oh, she's smoking hot. Oboro eyed her body with a pervy smirk. More like smoking weed. Why are you naked? Aizawa quickly interjected with a glare. Naked? You simply don't understand. This is a bold and practical suit for my quirk, my birthday hero sult. I don't feel ashamed in the slightest. Kayama added with pride. You should be. Aizawa bore at her face silently. Now, Aizawa, nobody asked for your opinion. I don't think there is anything wrong with her hero costume. Oboro pushed Aizawa aside and wiped his drool with a silly expression on his face. Just you watch. I'll have all of Japan change their mind on me after I become a hero. Kayama, Midnight, danced flashily. It is worth mentioning that 1 year after the debut of Midnight, the government had to put forward a new law called the Hero Costume Skin Exposure Limitation Act. By the way, what's that? She asked curiously as she saw a kitten peeing on Shirakumo's chest. Oh, a cat I found on the road a couple of days ago. Wanna adopt it? He replied, not bothered in the slightest. Cool, it's so cute but I can't. They say you will have a hard time getting married as a single girl with a cat. Hee hee, don't worry, I'd marry you. Oboro muttered with a silly expression. Can you take care of it? Aizawa looked at the kitten. They can live to 20, they need food, water, litter box, toys, and large amounts of love and personal care. He spoke passionately. Sure, it's just a cat. How hard can it be? Kayama held the cat to her nearly bare chest and cooed. Aizawa blushed at the cute sight. Oboro blushed for other reasons. Yamada ate his food absent-mindedly, staring at a cloud. Why are you here, Kayama-senpai? Yamada asked her suspiciously. Me? Nothing. I just like high places, the breeze is nice from below. Why are you here? We are thinking about the future, the work studies are nearing, Oboro cheerfully said. If you have nowhere to go, then come to go, then my boss would take you in. Your boss, X3? His Purple Highness and his Purple Revolution Agency? The three looked at each other. Sure, /okay, /yay. Robbery in progress on Golden Street, in Tasamiya Ward. On it his Purple Highness ran out the door. Aizawa and Yamada wore their costumes and bolted out with Pro Hero his Purple Highness. Kayama took off most of her clothes and followed behind. The group arrived at the scene quickly. It was close to the Purple Revolution Agency. Who called the cops? Was it you? A fat gray man with a socket on his head that emitted steam barked. That's enough. Midnight arrived at the scene first and landed a heavy kick to the thief's side, sending him down. Sparkling like diamonds and pearls, elegant as a rose. We are Team Revolution. Midnight struck a JoJo pose. Won the scene. Loud Cloud arrived on his cloud. Ah! He ran away. Till get him. Oboro bolted out on a cloud. Eraserhead, he is coming near. Oboro spoke in the air into his phone. I see him. Aizawa ran towards him, his face showing a non-confident expression. The villain's hand was hooked by his scarf, however, the villain simply pulled hard and tried to drag him. Aizawa held his own and wasn't pulled back by the fat man. Aizawa may only have an ocular quirk, but his body has been enhanced by his quirk. Most of quirkless people in society couldn't even lift twice their weight, but people with a quirk could easily lift close to a ton. This is the main reason as to why quirkless people were considered a crippled group. They were weak. As to why they were treated so badly? It was simpler. With the emergence of quirks, the normal people bullied the people with quirks, calling them names like mutant or freak. And now that 80% of the population was with a quirk, they became the minority and started getting bullied for being different. Karma's a bitch, or so they say. You brat, let go of me. The thief used his quirk and blew smoke from his socket above his head at Aizawa and obscured his vision. He used his chance and threw a heavy safe at Aizawa. Aizawa's eyes widened. He didn't have time to react and closed his eyes. A leg kicked the heavy safe off with strength and protected him. Aizawa opened his eyes to see the scowling face of his Purple Highness. The thief managed to run away. That was horrible. Ah. I'm sorry. My quirk is not suitable for combat asterisk. Not that. Your face. Your face is horrible, boy, you rat. He pointed at him with displeasure. Aizawa thought for a couple of seconds and realized. He wasn't smiling. He never smiled throughout the entire exchange. A hero must save others with a smile, yet he didn't do both. And what's with your overly reliant attitude? A quirk is a tool for a hero, it's not what makes a hero. Aizawa looked down. On a changing room, Aizawa is sitting outside while Oboro is taking a shower. Does he really expect me to smile after I let the villain run like that? I screwed up badly? Meh, just do like me when I screw up, smile like usual. But I don't smile to begin with. Aizawa spoke tiredly and felt his phone buzz. He opened it and saw multiple cat pictures sent by Kayama, lots of them. Aizawa smiled softly. Ah! I saw that. Oboro pointed at him with a grin, a towel wrapped around his lower body as he got out of the shower. You saw nothing. Aizawa's smile retreated as he blushed in embarrassment. So. Oboro sat down. What was that back there? He obscured my eyes with his smoke. I couldn't use my quirk. Your eyes? Then use this. Oboro handed him his goggles. This. Me and Yamada both use goggles. Let's make it a trio. Aizawa stared at the yellow goggles and nodded. 4 days later. The same thief was seen again carrying a large bag of money as he ran away from the police. Aizawa ran to intercept him again. You again. The villain blew smoke from his socket. However, Aizawa was not affected as his glowing red eyes were protected by plastic goggles. Aizawa hooked one of his hands and pulled hard, making him almost fall. Yeah! Yamada screamed loudly at him, making the villain fall on his knees and clutch his ears in pain. Loud bang. Oboro descended from the sky and hit the fat villain on his head using his staff. Oof! The villain fell down unconscious. Aizawa quickly tied him up. Well done, you three! The proud voice of His Purple Highness was heard and Aizawa tried to smile to the cameras. Keyword being tried. The three boys high-fived each other as Midnight hugged herself in a corner and muttered things about youth power. In a joint training exercise, Aizawa and Oboro chatted calmly. Aizawa! Take off those goggles, you're robbing my style. Sensoji barked angrily. Their chatting was interrupted by Aizawa's bully, Sensoji from 2B, a big kid with laser hands that looked down at Aizawa and called him unworthy of being a hero. No? Aizawa looked at him like an idiot. Then I challenge you. The loser loses the goggles. Like I said, no way I'm doing that. How stupid do you think I asterisk? Challenge accepted. Oboro interrupted with a toothy grin. The two began their joint training exercise and Sensoji immediately ran to Aizawa. He grabbed some dirt and threw it on his face, activating his quirk. He aimed at his leg. Only. His quirk didn't activate. No matter how much he tried, nothing. Behind the smoke, Aizawa emerged. Oboro arrived and used his quirk to create clouds to obscure his vision. Aizawa jumped up. Huh? Where did he go? Sensoji looked around in confusion. He is behind you. Sensoji turned back, something that Oboro wanted him to do. And I'm ahead of you. Oboro grinned and struck his chin with his staff from below. Aizawa wrapped him up like a spider using his scarf. Sensoji, out. The teacher smiled proudly at Aizawa's efforts. Aizawa, full mark? Aizawa smiled at his friend and high-fived him. Aizawa, Yamada, and Oboro sat on the roof again, chatting together about their plans. So is the nature of the young, always looking forward to getting older. In 2 years let's start our 3-people agency. Oboro loudly declared. An agency, you say? Kayama, or better known as Midnight, interrupted the three by opening the door to the roof. She was wearing her formal UA clothes, very modest, most likely forced to. That's right. Our 4-people agency? Oboro declared again. Huh? Did it jump to 4? Aizawa and Yamada looked at each other. Sorry boys, but I plan on going solo. I want to have a huge castle with multiple boys waiting on me, Kayama declared as she imagined herself naked and sitting on a throne, with multiple boys near her feet serving her grapes. I wouldn't mind waiting on you, Oboro muttered with a lewd smirk. What about our agency plan? Yamada spoke in defeat. I wouldn't care anyway. Aizawa looked down from the roof. The breeze scattered his hair in the summer wind. A week later. It was raining heavily. The sky was dark. Aizawa looked at the corpse of his best friend, Oboro Shirakumo, as it was lifted using a stretcher. It happened so fast. They were summoned like usual, but a frog villain that could steal and store quirks on his lumps appeared. Multiple figures crowded around a reporter. Violent villain attack near Tasamiya Ward critically injured His Purple Highness. Some experts state that he might never be able to walk anymore. The scene on the screen shifted and showed a glint frog villain. In the midst of the confrontation, the young hero in training, Loud Cloud, ended up losing his life after the giant villain threw a powerful attack at some pedestrians. The hero proceeded to protect the pedestrians using his quirk to stop the rubble from falling, but ended up being crushed under the rubble himself. The reporter's tone was somber. He was dead serious. The scene shifted and showed Aizawa standing above the defeated figure of the giant frog villain. A student miraculously managed to subdue him single-handedly. Multiple witnesses state that he cancelled the villain's quirk and proceeded to use the lumps that the glint frog villain used to store other quirks against the villain himself. He threw a lump to his mouth and it exploded, which managed to defeat the villain. The reporter turned the camera to multiple kids wearing kindergarten attire. Multiple people's lives were saved today by the young heroes. All prayers for the fallen hero in training, Loud Cloud. Aizawa and Yamada stood in the rain, the sound of the loud rain deafening their sorrows. It was loud. Like thousands of hands clapping at once, as if the sky was clapping for the great deed of Oboro Shirakumo. This was the dark side of hero work. The side that everyone tried to not talk about. Aizawa didn't smile afterwards for many years. 6 months before Aizawa enrolled into UA. Eraserhead walked on the narrow streets. A villain got trapped and was being dragged with his scarf. He looked tired. Aizawa wished to sleep. He was suffering from severe depression and the medicine is not helping him anymore. He barely sleeps anymore. His friends are moving on with their lives while he felt stagnant. He's purposeless. Dark thoughts clouded his mind every day, but he held on, in honor of everyone that sacrificed for him to be alive. Do your best, Aizawa. The voice of his best friend still lingered in his mind, pushing him forward. Feeling a ringing, Aizawa opened his phone and saw it was someone he knows. Kayama, what can I do for you? Midnight, sitting on her bed, naked with a cat on her chest, playfully playing with her mounds, talked with him cheerfully. Aizawa-kun, come to UA. I heard from Niza that All Might will teach there soon for some reason. Me and Yamada will come too. Not interested. Aizawa was about to close his phone but heard something that stopped him. Are you sure? The salary is 15 million yen per year asterisk. When do we start? Fufu dash. Present moment. The last illustration shows the figure of Kurogiri. I heard from someone that he was also a Nomu from a person called Oboro Shirakumo. Izuku spoke calmly. Niza stood there, shaken. Impossible. I saw him dead. His head was caved in from a lethal injury. Aizawa lost his control and directly shouted. Calm down. Aizawa. Present Mike spoke in a calm voice with controlled anger. His eyes bore at Izuku with fire. Who told you this information, Midoriya? A man with red eyes and dark hair, if my memory serves me right. Izuku said after a bit of thinking. There was no such a man among the detained villains. Niza spoke after a thoughtful thinking. He might have managed to escape with the other two villains. It's impossible. Shirakumo has a cloud quirk, not a gate teleportation quirk, Aizawa argued and slowly calmed down. As I said, Kurogiri is a Nomu. His body may have been experimented on to alter his quirk by adding multiple other quirks. Izuku spoke calmly. Aizawa's calm face changed into panic. All Might slammed his hand on the table. He was in his muscular form and sweat was pouring from his face. It's him. That monster is still alive? Yes, this is most likely the work of him, all for one. The only person capable of stealing quirks. Niza nodded grimly. How does that make sense? Oboro is dead. I saw him myself. Did that bastard dig his grave? Aizawa-kun, calm down please. Niza spoke calmly. I can't. Aizawa stormed out of the room, followed by President Mike. Izuku was silent. He didn't expect such an intense reaction from them. He has only read the manga and didn't know how deep the connection between them was. It was never shown. Getting out of the car, Aizawa and Yamada ran to their friend's grave. Present Mike followed his friend to make sure he doesn't do something that he will regret. Walt, Aizawa. What do you want to do? Stay out of it. Aizawa dropped to his knees and began digging desperately at the grave. Aizawa, this is illegal and immoral, get a grip. Yamada pulled him back. Aizawa pushed him back. I said don't do it, damn it. He pulled his hand again, making him look at his angry face. Aizawa turned to him, his eyes stained with tears, blood rushing from his fingers. He looked absolutely broken. A lump formed in Yamada's throat. Yamada dropped beside him. "Till help you." The two dug in silence until they saw the casket. Yamada watched as Aizawa opened it hesitantly. It was empty. The corpse of Oboro Shirakumo was not there. Aizawa collapsed. Chapter 18. The Shift of Control. Izuku looked at the departing figure of Aizawa and the figure of Present Mike that followed behind him hurriedly. He stared back at the tense group that were trying to calm All Might. Blood ran down All Might's lips as he bit hard to control himself. Izuku coughed loudly. The attention of everyone returned to him. This time, however, the atmosphere was less friendly, not that it was to begin with. Is there something else you want to add, Midoriya-san? The detective raised an eyebrow. He subconsciously doesn't treat Izuku like a teenager anymore. So far, Izuku Midoriya has been the most useful person in the room, so his words carried a great value. As for the school rules or whatever, he didn't care. Izuku shook his head and spoke. No, I have something else I'd like to ask though. Niza sat on his chair, his tiny paws resting on the desk as he regarded Izuku with his usual calculating gaze. You want to request something, don't you, Midoriya? Nizu asked, his tone casual yet laced with curiosity. Nizu was smart. If there's a reason as to why Izuku hasn't left yet, he would know it. Greed. Human greed. However, he knew the type of people the green boy was like. Izuku wasn't a normal person with normal desires, so Nizu was extremely curious. What could he possibly want? 777. The boy was smart. He was certain that with enough time he can get anything he wants. Izuku leaned forward slightly, his eyes narrowing with determination. I don't think it's unfair to ask for a reward. After all, the USJ incident put me in a dangerous position, and my actions helped save lives, plus the info I managed to gather for you. Snipes, I twitched. This brat. You trained using the Nomu. Niza chuckled, tilting his head. Indeed, but isn't saving lives the duty of a hero in training? Why should I offer additional compensation for something you're supposed to do? He will give him whatever he wants, but he wants to understand the boy more. The more he talked with him, the more he knew. Izuku held his ground. Because preparation matters. I risked my life with calculated strategies. Surely, UA values initiative and effort? After all, even a pro hero receives a salary? All Might stared at Izuku, speechless. Why is Midoriya boy being so shameless? All Might remembered how Izuku manhandled that thing and couldn't help but cough in shame. You were in danger? Why did it feel like the villains were the ones in danger? Everyone believed that Izuku Midoriya wanted money, everyone except Nizu. Nezu's whiskers twitched, clearly enjoying the debate. He knew that Izuku was injured by Recovery Girl's report, so he didn't argue. Whatever the boy wants, I'll give. What exactly do you desire, young Midoriya? Izuku's fake smile faded. I want you to save my mother. The entire room tensed. Midoriya, what do you mean? All Might stammered back as his heart began to beat violently. Is Inko in danger? His eyes constricted in horror. Niza glanced at All Might and widened his eyes slightly. They now know my face. They will come for her. Please protect my mother until I graduate from U.A. Izuku bowed and begged. Nizu remained calm, his mind racing with thoughts. Midoriya boy. All Might clenched his fist. He felt a heavy feeling in his heart. It's that man. All for one. Every time he comes into anyone's life it strips them of everything. Fire of hatred burned endlessly inside his heart at the thought of that man. He took his master, his health, countless people he tried to save, and now he is trying to take his. All Might paused. What did he think of Inko? Regardless, she is the mother of his successor, and harming her is forbidden in his book. Ned's mind worked fast. His ability to read the room is unparalleled, surpassing that of a certain normal guy from a show about a girl who can't communicate. It seems that this woman is very important for the 8th and 9th. Very well. I'll do that for you. Let's build a student dormitory with an extra building for your parents. Nedzu spoke cheerfully, surprising everyone. Nedzu was ready to pay a fortune to keep the 8th and the 9th near him. He had mountains of cash after all. But power, that's his ultimate need. Only power triumphs in this world. To protect himself from those scientists, the government, other powerful figures in this world. Nizu was cursed with knowledge. The more he knew, the less he wanted to. But his brain was hungry for knowledge. Like an addiction that he must feed. He had knowledge of how powerless he is compared to these figures. His inferiority complex because of humans was subconsciously flaring up. Izuku's smile returned slightly. He raised his head. Thank you. His pride was hurt, but he can tolerate it. For her. Nizu-sensei. All Might looked at the chimera gratefully. Izuku knew that this wasn't enough. But he couldn't afford otherwise. This was the most important person in this world for him, so he had to do with this. I need to be stronger. I need more. Izuku promised that he'll be a plague to all for one and everyone that crossed him. His eyes darkened with malice. All Might's eyes brightened with joy. He couldn't help but imagine finishing his job at UA and heading to Inko for a chat. His heart started beating like a teenager struck with love for the first time in his life. Izuku returned with Cementos and calmed the class. Alzawa Sensei won't be able to attend the homeroom today. He has a meeting. Izuku spoke calmly. The class looked at Cementos. He nodded. It's regarding the USJ incident. I'm sure you can understand. On another note related to that, you'll be moving into indoor dormitories. What? 11-6. Hell no! Bakugo barked. I refuse, Shoto declared, crossing his hands. Calm down, it's to protect you from harm. I'm sure you can understand why. They may target you again after all. Izuku raised his hands and spoke calmly. Bakugo begrudgingly nodded. My father won't come. Shoto shook his head. Good. Izuku smiled sweetly. But, I can't afford it. Uraraka spoke shyly, her head lowered. Izuku's eyes twitched. It's paid by the school. Don't worry, it's the least they can do after everything, right, sensei? Izuku asked innocently. Why yeah. Cementos couldn't help but think that Midoriya is a problem child. He felt sorry for Alzawa. You all should consider it a reward for everything, a compensation for the incident, right, yeah. The class nodded slowly, their faces grim. But, I can't leave my home. I can't live alone. I don't know how to cook. How pathetic, Kaminari. A true man knows how to cook. Till miss my home. TD love to live alone. Don't worry, we won't force anyone. Just inform your families for now and we'll see if they want to come. We have a separate larger building for them. They can come too? Yeah, UA is huge after all. Seeing them nodding again, he changed his expression, as if Izuku was talking with children. Those were 15-year-olds. They have went through too much in too little time. Izuku wanted to cheer them up and prevent any possibility of them getting depression. Just because UA is incompetent doesn't mean that he is. For now, I was informed by Principal Niza to have the rest of the class time off, so, is anyone interested in hitting the gym in our free time? Izuku suggested cheerfully. Not to be a downer, Midoriya, but don't we need a formal permission from a teacher to enter Gym Alpha as a group? Shinso asked hesitantly. That won't be a problem, right, sensei? Izuku looked at Cementos with a smile as he handed him a paper and a pen. Cementos couldn't help but feel sorry for Alzawa. Sure. Just don't cause a ruckus, he signed the paper with a sigh. The students looked at each other. Hell yeah! No homework. I could use some training. Oh. This is the first time we enter as a group. I'm kinda excited. Calm down everyone, keep quiet, you are being very loud. No, you're being the loudest. Aw. Izuku chuckled. Gym Alpha. Izuku wiped the sweat from his brow, his enhanced physique glistening under the overhead lights, his sharp green eyes scanning the room as he adjusted his boxing gloves. TM weak. Izuku let out all his frustration on the bag, he punched it like it owed him money. Near him was Bakugo, who discreetly observed and mimicked his actions. He was trying to find out his training routine to be as strong as him. His pride wouldn't allow him to simply ask though. Midoriya, you're killing it out there. Kirishima called out, throwing him a thumbs up after completing his set. You're making the rest of us look bad. Bakugo doubled his efforts after hearing that. He felt inferior to Izuku and knew that it was a fact. He, Katsuki Bakugo, was becoming a side character. No! Bakugo punched the bag repeatedly, making Izuku turn to him curiously. What's with Boom Boom Guy? Siro, who was doing curl-ups, asked, perplexed. Who knows? Lita knew but didn't answer. He increased the output and ran on the treadmill faster. TM weak. I ran away while my classmates were fighting to death. I have to be as strong as him. His eyes drifted to Izuku as he ran on the treadmill desperately, as if trying to reach him. Siro looked at Lita and shook his head. Kirishima was his usual energetic self, pushing everyone to work harder, while Kaminari tried his best to keep up and look cool while working out as he felt the girls were eyeing them. On the other side of the gym, a few of the girls had gathered, clearly more interested in observing than participating. Mina Ashido leaned against the wall, a wide grin on her face. You've got to admit, watching these guys work out is kind of entertaining. In many ways. Toru muttered slowly, and only Ashido who managed to hear her. She widened her eyes at her friend. There's a hidden side to this girl. Momo Yaoyorozu, ever the polite one, nodded in agreement, though a faint blush dusted her cheeks. It's impressive how dedicated Midoriya is. He's surprisingly focused. Surprisingly? Mina teased, nudging Momo. Sounds like someone's a fan. You seem to know his habits. What? Momo blushed slightly as she was caught off guard. Although she did know his habits, after all, they spent a lot of time together after school for classroom management activities. She was the vice president after all. The more Momo talked to Izuku and found about his habits and life in general, the more she grew a liking to him. Nearby, Kyokujiro tried to hide her amusement, her earphone jack swaying slightly as she smirked. He's just another overachiever. Nothing too special. Still, her eyes lingered on Izuku as he switched from special weightlifting to an intense punching bag session. He was punching the bag fast, so fast his hands blurred. The only reason the bag didn't break was that it was made of special materials to contain his quirk. Jiro wondered why he was working so hard. It's as if his life was on the line. The girls' gaze were on him. Jiro wasn't stupid. She knew that many of her classmates already have a crush on him. She looked at his focused expression, sweaty brows, and sharp eagle eyes as he gasped for air and punched with desperation. She wondered why he tried so hard. Was it because of the Nomu incident? Wasn't he strong enough to win? Also, wasn't he supposed to get tired already? It's been 17 minutes of non-stop punches. Her eyes lowered to his toned neck. His sweat-drenched black tank top clung to his defined frame, the result of months of rigorous training. Every punch he threw echoed through the gym, a testament to his focus and mighty strength. Men look best when they become focused. She looked at him in a daze, swallowing. Jiro felt thirsty for some reason, so she drank water. Ochako Uraraka finished her curl-ups and sat quietly, her cheeks flushed as she watched Izuku absent-mindedly. He's really something else, huh? She murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Uraraka wished she could work as hard to provide for her parents. Izuku looked cool in her eyes. She wanted to be like him. Mina caught the comment and grinned mischievously. Oh ho! Uraraka's got her eyes on Midoriya. Ochako waved her hands frantically, her face turning a deeper shade of red. It's not like that. I just think he's really hardworking. As the girls continued their playful banter, Izuku caught sight of them and gave a small wave, his face lighting up with a small smile. Toru shielded her eyes. The sight was too bright, and she felt that if she stared for too long, she might seriously fall in love. This is the effect brought by charm too. It is simply too noticeable. Izuku stood as a beacon among his classmates. Charm too has fully assimilated into him. The reactions were immediate. Mina winked playfully, Momo gave a polite shy nod, and Ochako quickly looked away, pretending to focus on something else as she fiddled with her fingers. Jiro stared absent-mindedly. Damn, he can get it from me, Sol said slowly as she eyed him. Tsuyu-chan. Momo blushed heavily. The girls laughed. Seeing them laughing and chatting, a vein appeared on Izuku's forehead. Are they looking down at the boys? Do they think they can win without trying? The guys stared at the girls, wondering what's so funny. Get back to work, you lazy bums. Yes, President. X6. The girls scattered with speed, their faces showing panic. Chapter 19. A Mother's Love. Izuku returned home and told his mother about most things. He managed to calm her down after telling her that other students' parents will accompany her and went to his room. He stared at his room, an area that he'll leave behind tomorrow. Countless times he cried here, begging any deity to give him a quirk. Well, not him but Deku himself, but the memories and the feelings were shared. The All Might toys and everything was sold, only a large All Might figurine remained as he liked it. He put a plastic film on the floor. A rat was held down via a black tendril. He managed to take it from a nearby dumpster using his fast speed and put it to sleep using his sleeping gas. Speed 3 gave him an increase in his overall speed. This included his quirks and abilities. He can move Black Whip with high speed, float fast, expel sleeping gas very fast. His reaction speed to danger sense was fast as well. Even OFA activated faster. Unfortunately, he can't keep it passively active, so if he was taken by surprise he'd die instantly. Luckily, Defense 3 and Danger Sense was with him. Izuku took a scalpel and slowly made an incision on its nerves area, crippling it. The rat woke up and shrieked in pain, desperately biting into his finger with all its strength, trying its best to harm him. Yet, Sifa. No matter what, no matter how, the rat couldn't bite into his skin. It's as if a protective barrier stopped its teeth from impaling the skin. It could only slightly dent it. Defense 3. An ability that protected his mind and body. As for his soul, Shishido couldn't find out if it protected his soul. Izuku calmly took a red healing vial and poured some of it down on the rat's legs. The nerves healed instantly and the pain-panicked expression on the rat disappeared and was replaced with fear. It struggled to free itself. He used his sleeping gas again. The deep cut remained. While the bleeding stopped, the cut still remained. It can move, but it was still heavily injured. Izuku was trying to figure out the limits of what the system considered a minor injury. Minor healing vial X10. I see. So healing the nervous system is considered a minor injury. How strange. Any heavy injury the body received was considered a big injury. However, any internal injuries like torn muscle tissues or torn nervous system are considered a minor injury. Izuku decided to see if it can heal internal damage done to the organs. He made an incision on the rat's right lung. Blood poured out as the rat shrieked again, louder this time. Black tendrils shot out and held the injured limbs down. He added red healing liquid and watched as nothing happened. The bleeding stopped though. Watching as the rat choked on its own blood and died, he simply threw it back onto the dumpster outside his apartment complex. Of course, the past users couldn't see or hear his immoral actions. The door was locked and everyone believed that he was sleeping now. With Defense 3 blocking their sight and view, they were clueless. Strength. Any way possible, any method, his eyes turned crimson red as he cleaned the blood. Weak. You're weak. Just like a rat, you could only die helplessly for someone's gain. He scolded himself and cursed his weakness. Having cleaned everything, Izuku went to sleep with new information in his mind. Izuku found himself in the familiar vault where he often communed with the previous wielders of One for All. This time, he was greeted by a new figure, a man with a calm face. "You've been pushing yourself hard, Shishido," the man said, his voice smooth like smoke curling through the air. "It's about time you got something to make things a bit easier?" Izuku tilted his head. He didn't remember him from canon. "You are Tiaman, the sixth user of One for All," the man replied, his faint smile visible through the haze that surrounded him. "And I'm here to pass on my quirk to you, Smokescreen." He was a fairly short man with short, dark hair parted twice away from his narrow eyes. Izuku's eyes widened in recognition, and was the user that managed to counter Shigaraki Tamura's ability to steal his quirk with his sheer willpower alone. Later Deku told him to trust him and let go of his quirk, causing Deku to lose everything. Shishido heard a chuckle. "It's pretty straightforward," En said with a shrug. "It lets you create a dense fog to obscure your movements. Useful for evasion and misdirection." As En reached out and gave him his quirk, a swirl of smoke enveloped Izuku, filling him with a warm, tingling sensation. "Use it wisely, kid. You've got the smarts to make it count. Just make sure not to let your emotions reign over you," Banjo added with a meaningful stare. Izuku looked around him. The users were eyeing him. "It wasn't personal. I was angry, and you kept interrupting my thoughts, so I had to cut you off." Izuku's figure flickered and turned to the figure of an average-looking man with black hair and blue eyes in his 20s. Hikage walked forward, extending his hand. "We hold wisdom for you, work with us." "Wisdom? I need no such a thing. I hold the knowledge of the future. Everything about my enemies is within my sight." "You trust your future knowledge too much. This isn't a show anymore. Those are real people. They are unpredictable," Hikage warned. "I'll manage. If I can't, then I'll kill them." "You killed multiple people, Shishido. The world isn't just black and white," Nana spoke judgmentally. "It is black and white for some. Can you justify the actions of people like Shigaraki Tamura? Do you have any idea how many people he killed before the show even began?" Nana flinched and averted her gaze. He didn't know better. She hesitantly replied, eyes on the floor. "He killed your own son. Your grandson killed your son, yet you still defend him. No wonder he called you a bad mother." Nana took a sharp intake of air, eyes getting wet with tears. "Boy!" Banjo barked in rage and ran towards him, arms outstretched for a punch. Banjo's mouth disappeared, his legs sank to the ground and hands were tied with his own black tendrils. "You're inside my dream, act wisely." Shishido turned to the past embers. "Regardless of what you say, I am the captain here and this is my story. You've had your stories, and they ended. Let me live mine. Shishido, we care about your well-being. We are doing this for you. The burden of taking a life is too heavy. Trust me on this one." En spoke sagely. "You speak like the original story didn't end with the murder of One for All and the death of everyone on the villain's side. I'm simply speeding up the process. It's different for that monster." Nana spat in rage, tears falling from her eyes. "See? The rules work until they don't benefit you. You can't make exceptions no matter what. If you're going to hold me on a moral code, then you better follow it." Banjo struggled desperately, trying to rise up from the ground. "Shishido, we're simply worried about you. What will happen when villains retaliate on you?" Hikage spoke softly, trying to calm them down. "I'm not afraid of stones that come my way. This road you're walking on leads to a dead end. The price will be your everything." Shishido turned to look at the source of the new voice. Shigaraki Yoichi, the first user, appeared, 2 other men behind him. "You, a soul from another world, have no right to take a life from our world." The other users nodded, except for one. "I agree with the 9th, AFO and his followers should die like us." Bruce spoke as he shook his head at their naive words. Bruce! He hunted me down like an animal for 10 years before killing me. I'm not hearing any morale bullshit. You lots are delusional. Kudo remained quiet, morally conflicted. I'm fine with my brother's death. But his followers are people that he manipulated. That's right. Tenko is innocent. Can you imagine living his life? Wouldn't you want to be saved? Nana Shimura grabbed Shishido's collar and screamed to his face. I can't save everyone. You can't expect me to forgive anyone coming after my loved ones either. Shishido shook his head. Nana wiped her eyes and spoke in a chocked voice. The embers looked at him pleadingly. Shishido felt conflicted. On one side, he understood their concerns and desires. While they wanted AFO dead, they didn't want the League of Villains dead. This is possible. But it'll create risks for his loved ones. One touch from Shigaraki Tomura could destroy UA and everyone he is trying to protect. He could prevent Shigaraki Tomura from undergoing the physical enhancement, but what about the Meta Liberation Army? Who will deal with them? Shishido can't just go and kill an entire city. If they were left alone for a couple of years, they'll grow into millions, then into hundreds of millions in less than 30 years. They'll become untouchable legally. Like a hydra, you cut a head, another one appears. If he was verbally attacked by hundreds of millions, he'd be destroyed. As the people in general follow the majority, so they'll slander him too. A human is smart alone. However, when combined, a society is a herd of sheep. Only the threat of Shigaraki Tomura can cure this cancerous tumor once and for all. And you're asking me to save such a threat? A threat that can wipe out a whole city with a touch? However, as he looked at the woman's pleading eyes, his resolve waned. How can a man refuse a mother? It's inhumane. No matter how much Shishido is willing to go, he can't harm a mother's heart. He gently held her hands, kissing her forehead. An action that surprised her. She expected a verbal retaliation, to beg, to endure humiliation. But this? It left her caught off guard. The Vold world began to crack. I will. For you. He spoke in a defeated tone, his head down. The Vold swallowed him into its endless darkness. Izuku woke up, he clenched his fists, feeling the newfound power coursing through him. Power. Any form of power will do, he needed more of it, it wasn't enough. It never was. Now that he decided to save the villains, he needed more than ever before. Another tool to add to his arsenal and another step closer to becoming the strongest. He opened the window to let the smoke out. Staring at the time, he finally confirmed it after multiple times of it happening. His stamina has increased. Instead of 5 hours, it took him 350 hours to fully sleep. But he welcomed it, more time to train, more time to grow stronger. The following morning, the students were informed during homeroom. Alzawa, his face heavily haggard, spoke in his usual blunt tone. He looked like depression incarnate. For those of you whose families agree, UA will be hosting them on campus temporarily. This is purely voluntary, but it's for their safety given the increased villain activity. You'll have designated areas in the dormitories to stay together. Any questions? The class exchanged knowing glances. It was a welcome announcement for many, they were prepared for this. Bakugo rolled his eyes, grumbling. That old hag will be nagging me 24/7. However, he didn't object because he wants this too. He acted like he didn't care, but he held his family dearly, his love for them was deep. While Uraraka looked relieved at the idea of her parents being close by, she was worried about their reaction. However, it's expected because she chose to be a hero, a profession that's full of danger. Todoroki, stoic as ever, simply nodded to himself, though his thoughts were clouded with concern about his family dynamics. Within hours, UA's gates opened to welcome the parents of the students. The staff had arranged for temporary accommodations within the campus, utilizing unused wings and facilities. Families were directed to their respective areas, with pro-heroes standing guard at every corner. Project Sanctuary has officially begun its building progress, with Cementos's help, it will be finished in 4 days max. As Izuku Midoriya stepped onto the UA grounds, her face lit up with both relief and worry when she spotted Izuku waiting for her. Izuku held into his mother's hand as he walked her into the temporary area inside U.A. She kept staring around her in wonder. Izuku looked around the campus, her heart heavy with the realization of how dangerous her son's life had already become. But seeing him safe, and knowing UA was taking extra precautions, gave her some peace. Nearby, Mitsuki Bakugo strode in with her usual fiery energy, dragging a suitcase behind her. "Katsuki," she bellowed, spotting her son leaning against a wall with a scowl. "Oh, Mom, don't make a scene," Bakugo muttered, though his voice lacked its usual venom. "Don't you me," she snapped, pulling him into a hug despite his protests. "You're lucky I'm even letting you stay in this crazy school after what happened. Like I need your permission." Bakugo grumbled, though he didn't pull away from her embrace. For Uraraka, seeing her parents step out of a modest car brought her close to tears. "Mom! Dad!" she called, running toward them. "Sweetheart," her mother exclaimed, pulling her into a hug. "I'm just glad you're here now," Uraraka said, her voice shaky. "Are you sure about all of this, Izuku?" Izuku asked for the 8th time as she looked at the large building nervously. "Yes, Mom, I was given a great room by the principal himself with my classmates. You stay here with the parents in this building." Izuku looked at Nizu with a smile. "Right, Nizu-sensei?" "Yes, welcome to U.A, Ms. Midoriya. The students' building has already been established yesterday." He laughed energetically. "With Cementos's help, construction takes minutes. However, for extra security as requested by Izuku himself, the parents' building will take a while." Still, it was troubling to manage everything. For Nizu needed to keep details of the villains' attack hidden but announce the news that they were attacked. After all, he can't just hide such a massive event. The public knows about the attack, but their info is that 1A stopped the villains. Izuku Midoriya was not mentioned. However, the elite heroes of society knew what truly happened. They were aware of the existence of a student that destroyed a weapon designed to kill the number 1. As to who that is, no one knows. It's a new program to protect the students. It's starting this year and many other parents will probably come too. President Mike added quickly, trying to sound like his usual cheerful self. Izuku looked at President Mike. He had eye bags under his goggles. His smile was fake. "Must be the Oboro Shirakumo's news," the silhouette of N muttered. "Most likely, yes. Banjo is angry at you." He sighed. Shishido himself felt angry at himself for what he said to Nana. Frankly, he was disappointed of himself. Calling Nana Shimura a bad mother was wrong, so wrong. The woman gave her life away to protect the people, to protect her own family. She ostracized herself from them, enduring the pain alone. He could only imagine how much she wanted to reach for her crying son and hug him, but she stopped herself to protect him, crying herself to sleep. He felt like scum for calling her a bad mother. "Sorry. I'm sorry. It's all because of him. AFO. Hate. Hate. Hate." Izuku looked at Nizu who was escorting them. She looked unconvinced. "It's because of the recent attack, Ms. Midoriya. I'm sure you can understand. After all, your son is the main target for retaliation." He spoke calmly. "What? Didn't he escape with the other students? Why would they want to retaliate on him?" she asked, full of worry and fear. Nizu paused. "Ms. Midoriya, your son fought the villains with Class 1A. He didn't flee." "Damn it," Izuku muttered and sighed. "I knew this would happen." And shook his head helplessly. Nedza looked at Izuku's face speechlessly. "You haven't told her anything? What does he mean, Izuku? You were fighting? Why didn't you say something?" Izuku began to panic, her breathing labored. "Calm down, Izuku." Mitsuki, Bakugo's mother and Inko's friend since college, interrupted her. Those behind her stood Masaru, waving his hand politely. "Mitsuki." Inko looked at her in worry as tears threatened to fall from her eyes. Mitsuki sighed. The brat explained everything. She pointed at Katsuki, who was leaning against the doorframe. Izuku remained quiet. He knew that Katsuki has lied too. Nothing big happened, it seems. Some villains attacked and your kid saved everyone by retreating in an orderly fashion after a bit of fighting. Mitsuki spoke, referring to Izuku, who was the class president. She knew it was a lie, but she also knew what kind of career her son followed. The mortality rate is above 70% for heroes. After all, most villains work in groups. She remained calm and told her everything. Yet, even she felt heart palpitations when she received the news. A mother's heart is strong and fragile. Izuku paused, looking at Katsuki, who leaned on the doorframe behind Mitsuki. He had lied to his family too. Niza decided to remain out of the entire exchange. This wasn't his business. "You're welcome, bastard." Izuku read Bakugo's lips and felt his eyes twitching. He couldn't help but feel a little grateful for his help, though. Bakugo can really be considerate if he cared. He always focused on small details. Izuku felt conflicted. The current Katsuki was not the same Katsuki that bullied him from memories. He was angry at Katsuki but was grateful as well. Izuku knew that he saved Kaminari and 2 other girls from his class, he was told. People change, Shishido, and muttered, looking at Katsuki with a knowing gaze. "You should learn from him. Mind your business." Inko looked at her son in pride. He changed so much and became an amazing person. Even others can recognize that now. That's my son. Look at the bright side, we're now in one building together. Mitsuki smirked. But how about your work? It's actually better. This school is closer to Masaru's office, plus he has a car, so who cares dash. True, less worrying about gas, haha. Masaru laughed. ICT then, will be in your care. Inko bowed gratefully. You too, Ms. Midoriya. Niza bowed too. Mitsuki laughed cheerfully as she dragged Inko to see the other parents. Oh well, let's go. They keep on pestering me to bring you, wanting to see your room or some bullshit. Katsuki grabbed his hand and dragged him to the student dormitory. Room reveal? Neat, I want to see yours. Hell no! What? Are you hiding porn or something? I'll burn your hair. Message received. Chapter 20. The Sports Festival. After the students and their parents settled down, Izuku and Uraraka were eating peacefully in the cafeteria. His eyes gazed at the girl as she ate her food like a puppy. Cute. Midoriya boy, wanna eat a lunchal together? All Might approached them and offered cutely. He looked at Uraraka. Sorry, I'll be back in a bit. She nodded absent-minded, trying her best to process the disturbing sight before her. The two left towards the teacher's office. You've shown me and everyone that you're ready, Midoriya boy. However, I want you to declare to the whole world. Declare that you are here. All Might spoke passionately as he put his hand on his protege's shoulder. I understand, trust me, Sensei, I won't fail you. Izuku looked into his eyes with conviction. He was ready to show them all. After a brief chat with All Might, Izuku opened his phone and created social media accounts in his name. That way his name will be his and won't be stolen after the festival. He posted several photos of his progress throughout the past 10 months, followed by a simple picture he took yesterday. Midoriya, speech. Aizawa extended his hand. Right, here. He gave him his prepared speech. So, this is what you decided to speak on the stand? Aizawa reviewed Izuku's speech with a calm face. Yeah, I decided to keep it simple and safe. Izuku smiled. Bullshit, this shit is fake, Banjo spat out in irritation. But he won't know that until he starts speaking, and sighed. I thought you all hated me now. Fuck. You. I'm stuck in here with you. I'd beat the shit out of you if I could get out. What you did to Nana was disgusting. Banjo's voice was seething. His words cut deeper into Shishido's heart than he is willing to admit. My story, my choices, there's a reason you past users all failed to kill that monster. I'm not as good-hearted as you all. We didn't have cheats, you bastard. Enough. Stop this charade already. What's done is done. Work together for fuck's sake. Hikage rubbed his eyebrows tiredly, as dead as he was. Dealing with the ninth was killing him. Well, go on with it, I guess. Don't say anything I wouldn't say. Aizawa warned. Sure. Izuku smiled. Izuku turned and walked to his classroom. He saw multiple people blocking his route. What the heck? Ochako looked at the road ahead, full of students from multiple classes, all watching and leering at them like an animal in a zoo. Izuku's fake smile faded. Excuse me, passing through, thank you. Izuku walked past them, pushing them easily with his powerful body. He didn't even need to push them, he just walked and they parted. Hey! We're talking over her. Setsuna Tokage's words were cut out by the figure of Izuku. She stared at him for a while, struck with his appearance. Is this guy some kind of idol? Her curiosity was instantly piqued. Oh? You're blocking my way to my class, but I'm at fault? Izuku turned to her and spoke calmly. His face was showing a neutral smile. Oh, sorry. Setsuna blushed and began retreating slowly. Wait! You're from 1/7" Nido Monoma asked suddenly, interrupting the crowd that was giving way for Izuku, successfully irritating Izuku in the process. Yes, now back off the road, I'm getting late for class. He pushed past him with his shoulder, almost knocking him down to the floor. Hey, who the hell do you think you are? That's right. Just because you fought some villains doesn't make you better than us. Don't think that you're safe. The general education, can be heroes too. After the sports festival evaluation, I can be a hero too. This is 1B class, don't think you're better than us. Hey you! This is B class talking. I heard you knocked around some villains or whatever, so I came to see for myself. I don't want to hear from some broccoli head. Bakugo smiled at that, deciding to steal that insult. That's right, this is a retaliation against you. Mineta Minoru of the general education, can step up to be a hero too. Why do you get to have an entire building for yourself? We deserve a building too. That's right. Screw you, IA. Izuku stared at them as he stood near the door to his class. His face was unreadable. Shinso looked at Midoriya, who was verbally attacked by all of the students surrounding him. He walked forward with Bakugo to start a fight but froze when they heard a loud, deafening heartbeat. Dum 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 dum. Izuku looked at them all with a neutral expression. He was angry, so angry that his King Engine activated. King Engine responded to heavy negative emotions. If Izuku felt large amounts of pain, fear, anger, or hatred, it will activate by default. As such, the entire hall froze like a deer in the headlights. You seem excited that we were attacked. Izuku's voice was calm, eerily calm. It reverberated into the hall and made them all flinch. Even his own classmates felt restricted. Is it that enviable? Being attacked by villains on the first week of attendance? His eyes scanned the crowd like a tiger. Do you want to face a villain that much? Is this what you ultimately desire? Dum dum dum. Dummi dumb. Step forward. I'll show you what it's like. The students took multiple steps back slowly, their backs sweating cold sweats and faces contorting in utter horror. Death. Scatter. Hi leak. Following this squeal, as if a signal was heard, they all ran away desperately in fear, pushing each other to run the fastest away from him. He looked at their back, crimson eyes glowing ominously until they all disappeared. Izuku sighed and calmed down instantly. His loud, deafening heartbeat ceased as he took a deep, calming breath. Troublemakers. He walked to his class, eyes frowning. The class stared at him in a daze. Let's go, class is starting soon. Yes. President. XP. Directly after the USJ attack, two figures crossed through a gate and fell down to the floor. One stood calmly while the other looked at the ground in shock. What's wrong? Shigaraki Tamura. A calm voice spoke through the old screen. Shigaraki Tamura, shivering as he clutched his hair, tears falling from his eyes as he huddled in a corner, filth clinging to his shirt. Yet, his eyes burned with hatred. hatred and fear. It's him, that green monster. His teeth chattered at the thought of him, a demonic shadow loomed over him, holding his neck with a scythe. He began scratching at his neck habitually. Whenever Shigaraki Tamura felt stressed, he scratched his neck. He kept scratching until it started bleeding. His stomach was hurting him so much that he felt like puking but had nothing to puke. Seeing that his first tool was useless, All for One turned to the second tool. "Speak, Kurogiri." "Yes." Kurogiri walked towards the screen. A teenager with green hair and red eyes followed the entire plan. He intercepted the anti-symbol of peace Nomu. He attacked us, and when I came to be, I witnessed him defeating the Nomu with the help of All Might. He spoke calmly, like a robot. All for One's interest peaked, and a wicked smile appeared. "Describe his quirk." "Yes." He had power enhancement quirk, most likely a powerful intimidation quirk, black tendrils, and finally, he could float. And teleportation. Shigaraki Tamura barked as he got up. "This wasn't our deal, since you told me that the Nomu was stronger than All Might himself. How is a teenager capable of decimating it?" Behind the screen, All for One smile faltered, showing disappointment at his cowardly actions. Still, as multiple images flashed through his mind of people with said quirks that he fought in the past, he couldn't help but utter calmly, "Calm down, Shigaraki Tamura. This isn't a bad thing, you've done well." "Huh." AFO's smile returned, brighter than ever. "With this we know why All Might started getting slower and less active. He has chosen a successor." With the sound of sinister cackling, the screen went black. "Gather around mass media. This year, all your favorite high school kids will let their youth run free like a bucking bronco." President Mike spoke into the multiple mics, then took a deep breath. "The sports festival of UA has officially began. Are you ready?" he roared with power. For the past few days, Yamada has been taking many therapeutic sessions to get himself into a better mental condition. He urged Aizawa to do the same, but the man refused, drowned himself in hero work at night and being a teacher a day, he barely sleeps. The sports festival is in 3 hours. In the meantime, a word from our sponsor. President Mike pointed at the screen as an ad appeared. "Join us in playing Raid, Shadow Legend **. AFO took over an antique-looking phone by the standards of this day and age. He slowly dialed a number before calling. The person he was calling picked up almost instantly. "Kashimo. I want something from you." He spoke in a calm, rigid tone that broke no way for argument. "Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Anything you want." Kashimo replied hurriedly, his fear evidently clear. Kashimo, a corrupt politician in Japan, he spends his days gambling and consuming all types of illegal drugs. One time he met AFO and bought young girls for a night from him, not knowing that he was being recorded throughout the entire act. A student in U.A, male, green hair and red eyes, fetch me information about him. Everything. AFO spoke in disdain, ordering the man like a dog. "BB, but sir, I can't look into the students of UA. Their principal would definitely notice my actions." Kashimo begged in fear, visibly shaking. AFO was silent for a long moment as he took a deep breath from his tubes to calm himself. "It seems like you forgot your position. Should I share what you did to those young girls for the entire world to see?" "No! No, please, I will do it, please." "Good. You have 2 hours. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." The fat man thanked him and nodded into the phone, his sweaty face showing visible distress. AFO cut the call immediately. He called another number afterwards. "Kashimoto no, Tokyo. Make it look like suicide." "Yes, sir." An old man's voice replied calmly. "Man, this year's sports festival security is super tight. I can't even buy snacks without needing my identity checked." Mountain Lady chewed on nuts that she bought with 50% discount using her womanly charm. "We, too, came with the intention of scouting." Power Loader stared at the police officers. "But the security is super tight. I feel like we won't be needed here?" Camel Woods shook his head helplessly. "The attention this year is fully on the freshmen." Fat Gum smiled. On another area. Why do I have to be here, Ryukyu? Maruko snatched a snack from a vendor with irritation. Hey. You didn't pay. Huh? On behalf of all my ancestors, I humbly apologize. Ryukyu sighed and gave the vendor his money, making him look at her like a goddess. Maruko, stop being a bother, you should train the next generation too, she sighed at the rabbit. Woman. Why should I? If they're good enough they won't be needing any training, she replied carelessly. There's a student you might like this year among the freshmen, it was said that he fought with All Might himself, Ryukyu smirked. Maruko's rabbit ears twitched as she turned back slowly. Who's that? She asked with great curiosity, eyes wide open. Nope. I have no idea, we'll find out later. Ryukyu snickered at her displeased look. Maruko groaned. On another area. So, you came to watch your son, eh? Hawks walked near Endeavor, who kept trying to create distance and walk away in irritation. Humph. He replied in irritation. I want to see that green kid, I want to make him push Shoto. His beard flared as he mentioned his son's name. Haha, alrighty then. Hawks chuckled as a woman came to him with a pen asking him to sign her chest. On another area. I don't want to be here. Ed Shot grimaced at the large crowd. It'll be fun. Wash dragged his introverted friend into the security checks. On another area. It's not enough. Sir. Night Eye stared at the security solemnly. Cheer up, bro, nothing's gonna happen in the festival. Rocklock replied with a smile. It's not during, but after. Nothing, let's grab some crepe. Bet. You're paying though. Izuku stared at Shoto with a deadpan expression as he blocked his way to exit. For some reason, people are testing him today. Could you repeat that? I want you to go all out, don't hold back against me. Shoto repeated calmly, ignoring the looks the class was giving him. Is he an idiot? Shinso whispered to Kirishima's ears. Must be. Kirishima replied, making the others nod in agreement. Even Bakugo stared speechlessly at Shoto. Go all out? Does this half-and-half bastard have a death wish? Impossible. You'll die at my hands if I went all out, Izuku replied calmly, eyes peering on Shoto. Plus, how do you expect me to go all out while you're using 50% of your power? Are you looking down on me? Izuku added with a dangerous tone. I can fight just fine with my eyesight. Shoto replied in an icy angry tone. Good luck with that. Izuku pushed past him with ease as he walked out, almost making him fall. The classroom stared at Shoto speechlessly. He looks alright, but he's a dummy. Asel shook her head and muttered to the girls. Sulsan. Momo whispered loudly. I mean if we're talking about looks. Ashido smirked as she eyed Izuku's back. The girls turned to Izuku and stared for a moment. Ochako smiled fondly. Huh? Oh my, what got you smiling like that, Uraraka-chan? Ashido whispered with a playful smirk. What? I wasn't smiling? She replied with a red face, shaking her hands hurriedly. The girls laughed. Let me guess, all you miscreants came to see them, right? President Mike loudly declared, making the crowd cheer loudly. The Department of Heroics, freshman year. Izuku took the lead and walked into the stadium confidently leading his class forward. You're here for the rumored Class 1A, right? Izuku raised his hand and smiled as he walked into the cheering crowds, something that critically injured many women. Whoa! There's a lot of people. Shinso shivered as he felt thousands of eyes on him, with hundreds of millions of people globally watching him from the cameras. Smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. Izuku chuckled as he waved. The class followed his actions nervously. Remember why we became heroes, to declare that we are here. Izuku's words shook the class out of their stupor, their eyes sharpened as they followed their class president. Let's go! Chapter 21. A Declaration of War. Now, fair play. Midnight smacked her whip confidently to silence the crowd. Multiple murmurs were heard as the crowd focused on her. The chief referee for the freshmen is the 18-plus hero, Midnight? What kind of high school is this? The kind that every man wants to admit to. Damn. Smash. Next. Same. WTF is wrong with you all? Where's the principal? Probably busy with the seniors, he'll be their referee in a couple of days. Silence. Midnight whipped forward, silencing the murmuring crowds. My tenure here is perfectly fine. Now, player rep, Izuku Midoriya of 1A. Izuku walked forward, ignoring the jealous chattering of the nearby students of other departments. He walked on the steps calmly. The crowd watched his figure with silence and anticipation. Izuku glanced at the mic and looked up at the thousands of people before him. A grand event, surpassing the Olympic Games itself. The whole world was watching him, especially his enemies. The grand stadium was packed to capacity, filled with students, pro heroes, media, and an endless sea of spectators eagerly awaiting the UA Sports Festival to begin, all eyed Izuku like a hawk. Inko sat on one of the VIP seats. Near her were multiple figures of the school and some pro heroes. She felt like a duckling surrounded by lions. All Might in his muscular form sat behind her. As she turned to look at them, he waved kindly with a smile at her. She waved back nervously. Luckily Mitsuki was near her. She was chatting with the principal confidently, something that made Inko a bit jealous. She wished to be as extroverted and confident like her. All Might looked down calmly. He remembered his words to Midoriya. I want you to declare to the whole world that you're here. He watched Izuku with great attention. Maruko sat at the top of the stadium. She peered down at Izuku with a calm face. It's him. He's the one who fought with All Might, she said, surprising Ryukyu. How did you know? He's giving the vibe of the strongest among his peers. My instincts are telling me. Instinct? What are you, a freaking animal? What did you say, you damn giant lizard? What's that, you horny doe? Maruko's face turned crimson red. She jumped on Ryukyu angrily. The two women began to quarrel, annoying the nearby crowd. The electric buzz of excitement was palpable, and the bright sunlight illuminated the massive stage where the event would soon kick off. This one looks promising, Camel Woods muttered as he eyed Izuku. I feel like I saw him before. MT Lady muttered, trying to remember where she saw him. Must be my imagination. She ate her teriyaki happily. I like his confidence, but I want to see his performance first. Fat Gum smiled. At the center of it all stood Izuku Midoriya, the top scorer of the entrance exam and the one chosen to deliver the opening speech. Clad in his UA gym uniform, Izuku stepped up to the podium with calm steps. His green hair caught the sunlight, and his emerald eyes glowed with fire. He looked captivating with his looks. Write his name and send him my nomination, Endeavor ordered his sidekick calmly as he saw Izuku's gaze. It was a gaze he was too familiar with, one where he saw every day whenever he looked at the mirror. The desire to be the best of the best, the number one. He sighed, wishing that his son was like Izuku. Write his name too, he's interesting. Hawks nudged his sidekick as he eyed Endeavor, trying to steal Izuku from him. Endeavor looked at Hawks, a spark flying from his eyes as he glared daggers at Hawks. Hawks laughed cheerfully. In the crowd, Class 1A watched with anticipation. Bakugo crossed his arms, his usual scowl fixed on his face, though his eyes betrayed a hint of curiosity. Todoroki stood silently, his expression unreadable, while Uraraka and Kirishima leaned forward, eager to hear their friend. Aizawa, seated with the other teachers, raised an eyebrow in suspicion. He had given Izuku a prepared speech, but the boy's demeanor suggested he had something else in mind. Don't do anything reckless, Aizawa narrowed his eyes and muttered under his breath, but it was too late. Izuku gripped the microphone and began. Good morning, everyone, Izuku started, his voice calm but resonant. The stadium quieted almost immediately, the air heavy with expectation. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and I stand here today as someone who dreams of becoming a hero. He paused, letting his words settle. His gaze swept across the crowd, locking eyes with the audience in the stands and cameras alike. What is a hero? A hero is someone who helps others regardless of fear, danger, ways, or reasons. Hero Aura activated. Hero Aura. A passive ability that works by saying or doing something that is considered heroic. Izuku could trigger it easily. The crowd leaned in, captivated by his presence and deep insight on heroism. Most of the heroes felt like a fresh wind passed them, filling their lungs with power. He took a deep breath. This festival isn't just about showing off our quirks or proving who's the strongest. It's about something far deeper, heroism. It's about proving that we have what it takes to stand tall when the world is at its darkest. To protect those who can't protect themselves. To face danger head-on, not for glory, but because it's the right thing to do. His voice grew stronger, his tone commanding the attention of everyone in the stadium. Izuku knew that he was being a hypocrite. But who can point it out? The dead vestiges? No one can read his mind anymore, not even the vestiges. He wanted to destroy the ideals of Stain before they even became public. He can't allow the League of Villains to grow stronger than him. There's a lot of talk these days about what makes a true hero. Some people say that hero society has become corrupt. That we're only in it for fame, money, or recognition. That true heroism can't exist in a world driven by competition. Millions of people watching him focused on his words as hundreds of channels broadcasted every word he spoke. Stain, who was watching from an old small-screen TV, narrowed his eyes judgmentally. All for One stared calmly, his mind racing with greed. He wanted to kidnap the Ninth instantly and steal his quirk, but seeing the tight security made him clench his fist. He can't send his tools there, that'd be useless. He received the report about Izuku Midoriya, a quirkless that recently awakened, which further proved his thoughts of him being a protege of All Might. He found his address in Uzudafu but was displeased to find that he moved to UA after the U.SJ attack. Most likely the work of someone. That damn rat. In a worn-down building, Shigaraki Tamura watched the figure of Izuku through the screen with apprehension and hate. Izuku's words didn't even register in his mind. Izuku's eyes narrowed, and his fists clenched the mic hard as his face hardened. But I reject that notion. True heroism isn't about being the strongest or the most famous. It's about selflessness. It's about the willingness to risk everything for the sake of others, even when no one is watching. A true hero doesn't ask for fame, they act because they must. The crowd was silent, hanging on his every word. Even the students in Class 1A, who knew Izuku well, found themselves captivated. Aizawa looked down at Izuku from above, his mind replaying the events of his best friend's demise. He swallowed a lump in his throat. Izuku's words touched him deeply. All Might stared at his protege proudly. He instantly calmed down as he realized that Izuku will handle this well. Even Inko shed a tear of pride. Nizu, however, being the smartest one, instantly recognized that Izuku was trying to send a message and couldn't help but think that Izuku would make a great politician. Heroes aren't perfect. We make mistakes, and sometimes we fall short. But what defines us is that we get back up. We push forward, no matter how hard it gets, because the world depends on us. Being a hero isn't just a title, it's a responsibility. Just when people began to think that Izuku's words were too idealistic and that many people can't follow them to the letter, Izuku interjected again, attacking their doubts. Izuku's voice softened for a moment, his tone turning reflective. When I was younger, I didn't think I could ever be a hero. I was deemed quirkless, and everyone told me it was impossible. But what I learned is that being a hero isn't about what you're born with, it's about what you're willing to give. His words resonated deeply, and even seasoned heroes with a weak quirk in the audience nodded in agreement and understanding. It's not that you're born with a weak or strong quirk, it's how much you're willing to push it. Many of them directly wrote his name for nominations just based on their shared feelings of camaraderie with him. I'm not here today to impress you with big words or flashy moves. I'm here to prove that no matter where you come from or what challenges you face, you can rise above them. You can become someone who inspires others, someone who makes a difference. Izuku stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his voice rising with unwavering conviction. This festival is our chance to show the world what we're made of. It's our chance to prove that the next generation of heroes isn't just ready, we're stronger, braver, and more determined than ever. The other departments looked at his figure and swallowed at his words. They too can be a hero. They too can be better than their predecessors. He took a deep breath, and his gaze burned with intensity that rivaled the sun itself as he took a stance, his legs slammed down on the stage. And I'll say this here and now, I, Izuku Midoriya, declare that I'll be the future #1 hero. So, to anyone doubting me, bring it on! Izuku roared at the top of his lungs, his voice shook the ground itself as he challenged the world and all the other departments inside U.A, making them seethe with anger and competitive spirit. All for one slammed his fist on his chair, shattering its handle, Shigaraki Tamura directly through the TV's remote control into the wall, shattering it with rage as he exploded like a man-child. Like a tidal wave, the cheers erupted. The crowd roared with applause, their energy almost causing an earthquake. Hundreds of cameras flashed, students and pro-heroes alike clapped, and President Mick's booming voice echoed, "Now that's how you start a festival." Midnight stared at Izuku like a predator, breathing heavily. Nana's silhouette stared daggers at her face, wishing that she could come to life just to beat her into a coma. In the stands, Uraraka beamed with pride, clapping so hard her hands turned red. Kirishima punched the air, shouting, "That's manly, Midoriya." Todoroki raised an eyebrow but gave a subtle nod of acknowledgement. Shoto promised himself that he won't make it easy for Izuku, he'll try his best to outrank him, not because he wants to be #1 like his father wanted, simply because he wants to prove something. To prove that he can be the best. The #1. By simply using his cold side alone, to prove to his father that he never needed his power. Even Bakugo, though visibly irritated, muttered, "Damn nerd." "Just you wait." Aizawa slumped in his seat, rubbing his temples. "That was definitely not in the script," he muttered, though there was a faint smile tugging at his lips. Aizawa was proud of his student. As reckless and troublesome as Izuku was, he was his best student. Niza chuckled, his small paws clapping together. "Well, that was unexpected. But I must say, quite effective." All Might roared with laughter, causing the others to look at him weirdly. "Ah. Sorry." He apologized awkwardly, failing to hide his grin. Inko cried tears of joy, only a proud mother could understand her feelings, words alone wouldn't suffice. "Izuku." She wiped her nose with a handkerchief. Maruko stared at Izuku for a while, his words made her heart race with excitement, she felt like having a fight to the death with someone, her face failed to hide her thoughts as she grinned. "What? Finally convinced?" Ryukyu snickered while eating a Snicker. "Not yet. He's all talk but no show, I want to see his performance, but he's a good talker. He has a marketable face too." Ryukyu muttered as she gazed at Izuku's face. She decided to send her nomination, even though she knew he wouldn't take her based on his personality alone, it never hurts to try after all. Maruko sighed, shaking her head at her friend's words. Multiple heroes began writing Izuku's name for nominations, they had no doubt about his strength since he scored first on the U.A practical exam. His words alone put him high in the public eye, the heroes wished to use that fame for their advantage and rise in popularity. Many people took out their phones, recording everything. Hey, quick, find his social media accounts. Isn't he that kid from the sludge villain incident? He sure has changed. I found it, it's in his name. Are you serious? 40,000 followers already? It's still increasing. 57,000. He might reach 1 million before the end of the day. He has few posts, just simple daily routine of his life at UA. Hundreds of comments on each and every post already. Damn, lucky guy. His face though. Ah, I can't, I have a boyfriend. I don't. Hee. Image save ***. What are you going to do with that picture? Research, why yeah. Minor quest complete. Minor quest, leave an impact on the opening speech. Reward, special spatula. Rumors say that it was owned by the king of McDonald's himself. Gives 20% taste increase when used to cook anything. Ha 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 ha. X4. Just put the fries in the bag, bro. Banjo hollered, making the others collapse in tears. Izuku decided to directly cut the connection with them, his face red with embarrassment. Damn minor quests. As Izuku stepped down from the stage, his classmates crowded around him, showering him with praise and questions. That was amazing, Izuku! Uraraka exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. She was so excited that she failed to notice how close she was to his face. Something that made Suku's heart skip a beat, a small blush on his face. You've got guts, man. Kirishima added, giving him a thumbs up. Even Todoroki approached, his voice calm but sincere. That was a good speech. As expected of class president? Momo looked up at him like a beacon of perfection. Izuku smiled, scratching the back of his neck. Thanks, everyone. I just wanted to speak from the heart. Well done, kid, Nana spoke softly. Izuku paused. I'm sorry for what I said. You are not a bad mother, you're a great mother. Don't mention it, I understand. Killing people makes anyone on edge and say weird things. Nana sighed and shook her head with a smile. Nana understood. She came from times that were harsher. A hero killing a villain was common. Some were even suicidal, wanting to die at the hands of their favorite hero. Thank you. Izuku swallowed a lump in his throat. He was grateful for everything in his life, he simply couldn't ask for more. He looked at Uraraka, who was visibly excited for the first event. What Izuku didn't realize is that his body is affecting his mind. What he perceived as normal has changed. He now sees many things in the perspective of a 15-year-old teenager, a very wise 15-years-old teenager. Izuku's face was showing a smile. He smiled as he looked at Uraraka fondly. Ashido's eyes landed on Izuku. She followed his line of sight and went still, visibly tensing. Her eyes constricted as she realized what she was seeing. A weird sense of sadness and loss made her frown and avert her gaze. Her smile turned fake instantly. As the festivities began and the first event was announced, one thing was clear: Izuku Midoriya's speech had set the tone for the entire festival. It wasn't just a declaration, it was a promise. And now, all eyes were on him, expecting him to deliver on his words and be the best. And if he failed to deliver? Then the stigma of it will follow him throughout his entire life. He'll be known as the one who talks big. Izuku looked at the crowd above, his gaze burned through their thoughts. Usually when one is standing in front of such a large crowd, they'd feel nervous. But when Izuku stood before them, he felt a sense of power, control, and content. Seeing the gaze of the green figure on the screen, Shigaraki Tomura clenched his fists. He was angry because the figure had green eyes, not red. This meant that the red eyes were most likely another quirk. In a worn-down. The figure of a middle school girl with pointy fangs like a blood-sucking vampire stared at the screen with a blush at the handsome figure. Izuku Midoriya, he's cool. Her gaze turned obsessive as she smiled. I want to be like him. Izuku walked to his area, ignoring the burning gazes of the other students that wished his downfall. I need to get stronger faster. That man. I can feel his hands creeping into my life to destroy it, have to be stronger. Izuku's face showed a serious malicious side. Luckily he hit it fast. He promised himself that no matter what, no one shall harm his people, not while he was breathing. More. Chapter 22. 10 million points. A hikikomori, or a shut-in. A Japanese term that refers to people that ostracize themselves from society and avoid people in general. Shuichi Iguchi, a person that perfectly fits this description, stared at the screen with dull eyes. But I reject that notion. True heroism isn't about being the strongest or the most famous. It's about selflessness. It's about the willingness to risk everything for the sake of others, even when no one is watching. A true hero doesn't ask for fame, they act because they must. He felt his blood pressure rising as his breathing quickened, the words hit him like a freight train, he was feeling a sensation that he hasn't in many years. Excitement. His dull eyes opened wide as he stared at the figure. Bring it on! He stood up from his bed, the dull eyes changed into a vigorous full of life eyes, his face showed a smile as he gazed at Izuku's smile. Izuku Midoriya. He immediately searched for all of his accounts. Upon seeing his bio on his Herogram app, his face changed into a thoughtful expression. For a better world. For everyone. Rab. That's all it said in his bio, simple and direct yet heavy with meanings. For everyone, this means mutants too, right? He decided on following his profile. That day, Izuku Midoriya gained a fan and changed the fate of Spinner. A hero, huh? I wonder if I can be a hero for someone. The wheels of fate turned into another direction and began moving in an accelerated speed. Bakugo stared at Izuku. His speech and declaration of being the number one has cornered himself into being the strongest. But I'm still here. If that nerd can be this strong, then I can get stronger? I won't lose. Bakugo turned to Izuku and spoke calmly, his gaze firm. He refused to be ignored as a side character. Not on this one, Katsuki. Izuku calmly replied, locking his gaze with him. The two stared at each other for a while, only being interrupted by Midnight's voice. All right, shall we move on to the first event? Into the preliminaries, as they are commonly called by our viewers, and this year's first event is... The screen spinned and stopped. The obstacle race? Midnight pointed to the screen using her whip. It's a race that involves all two classes. The course is 4 kilometers, 2.485 miles, around the stadium. You're free to do anything as long as you remain within the course. Izuku looked ahead, surrounded by hundreds of students around the closed gate. On your marks. Multiple crackles shot out from Izuku, startling the nearby students from the sounds. Oh, 6-inch. His eyes hardened as he saw the cameras pointing at him in particular. Watch me. Stay alert. The students directly dashed forward with great energy. Everyone pushed each other as they passed the tight gate. The gate was tight on purpose. The first hurdle of this test was the start itself. Shoto took a deep breath as he channeled a large amount of ice to block his peers directly. The students stopped, surrounded by a wall of ice that stopped their movements. Seeing this, Izuku directly jumped and used 15% to destroy the wall with his fist. You go, Izuku. Yeah. There he goes, punching shit again. God, I love it. The students took their opportunity and dashed forward again. Tisk. Shoto clicked his tongue and decided to slow them down by freezing their feet. What? You bastard. Damn it. I can't move. Green guy, do the thing again. Izuku landed on the ground and walked forward as ice creeped onto his leg. He simply pushed through it with his physical strength and broke the ice. Green guy. Out of my way, you extras. Bakugo chased after Izuku and Shoto, flying through the air using his explosions. Momo directly pointed her hand down, a staff extended and pushed her above the crowd as she passed them. Aoyama jumped and used his laser. He flew up, following Momo. Kirishima hardened his legs and spun, shattering the ice and dashing forward. Lita jumped high. Using his legs he dashed fast after his classmates. This is my field. I can't lose in a race. Jiro simply snapped her fingers. A loud vibration snapped the ice and freed her with multiple other students. Earphone girl Banzal. Best girl. Marry me. I have a boyfriend. Jiro stared at the fat proposer like an insect. If I'm going to be with someone. She blushed as a certain image crossed her mind, making her grin like a dork. Hee. You good? Shinso asked with concern. Yeah. Ashido simply melted the ice using acids. She followed after the rest. Ibara Shiozaki used her vines from her hair like a spider. She passed the students with ease. Uraraka touched herself, her weight removed as she jumped high above the rest and soared above them all. She extended her hand and a long tongue caught it, followed by Asel swinging through the crowd. Thanks, Ochako-chan. The two had agreed to work together and push themselves into the last event. Izuku looked back. Multiple students were following him closely. He smiled as he noticed that most of them were from 1A. He looked ahead, seeing the back of Shoto. Shoto used multiple ice blocks to slow him down, but it was useless as Izuku simply punched them and shattered them with ease. Damn it. Izuku's green crackles intensified on your left dash. And he dashed forward, leaving Shoto and everyone behind. Multiple explosions were heard and a blonde pushed forward angrily, keeping close with Izuku. Don't look down on me. He gritted his teeth and followed behind Izuku. Seeing the two pass him and Lita closing in on him, Shoto immediately slammed his leg down and Ice pushed him up with high speed as he followed the two. Up to a heated start everyone. Midoriya Izuku takes the lead. Present Mike declared loudly. Izuku, who was running, looked up and saw a big ice construct pushing Shoto ahead of him. The two locked eyes. His eyes sharpened. 25,965. His hands blurred with his hair as he approached the first obstacle, the giant robot or the zero-pointer. Midoriya Izuku reached the first obstacle, Robot Inferno. Present Mike loudly announced. Fast as always. Eraserhead added in a monotone voice. Seeing the small three-pointer robot trying to stop him, Izuku jumped forward and punched through it with ease, shattering it and creating a large hole in it. Another one attacked him, receiving the same treatment. However, this time it was thrown forward with high speed, colliding with the other robots and clearing a long path. He brute forced through it? Present Mike widened his eyes, making the crowd cheer loudly. Yes, it seems that he's not Holdy. Amazing performance by Midoriya Izuku. I feel like I'm not needed here. Eraserhead slumped. He passed into the zero-pointer area. Present Mike interrupted, not caring. Izuku looked at the giant robots trying to block his way. His initial thought was to evade and dash forward, but a memory interrupted him. I want you to show them that you're here. The words of All Might surfaced into his mind. His eyes narrowed as he decided to do something. Useless just to show off. Was it reckless? Was it stupid? Who cares? The only thing that matters is strength. This whole festival was a dick measuring contest after all. He jumped and twisted his body with high speed as he began spinning. The robot extended its massive hand towards him, trying to block him, but to everyone's astonishment, black tendrils coated Izuku's body, turning him into a drill that drilled into the glen hand, penetrating through. What? Present Mix's confused sound was interrupted by Eraserhead's astonishment. This. Alzawa stared in disbelief. Wasn't Izuku's quirk a strength enhancement type? What's this now? The crowd cheered loudly by the stunt. Even the viewers that were watching opened their eyes wide. Shuichi Iguchi stared speechlessly at Izuku through the screen, his eyes showing delight. Shigaraki Tamura recoiled as he saw the black tendrils. He remembered the sight of that green demon and he scratched his neck furiously. Izuku ignored the shock of everyone and kept drilling through the giant robots, passing them with ease. Like a badger mole from a certain show. Damn it, you nerd. Bakugo weaved through the three-pointer robots and followed Izuku into the zero-pointer zone. Shoto waved his hand up, freezing the three-pointer robots and running after them. Damn it. Ida increased his speed, following behind Shoto directly. Class 1A is taking the lead. Izuku Midoriya and Shoto Todoroki are strong contenders for the first position on this race. Don't forget me, you loud bastard. Bakugo shot multiple shots and began spinning. His speed increased as he dashes forward, surpassing Shoto. Oh, and Katsuki Bakugo or whatever. Yamada spoke in a monotone voice, having heard the blonde's insult. Bastard. Izuku looked behind him. He saw the determined faces of his classmates and chuckled. Should I get serious? He has never went serious. From the beginning until the end, it was just flashy moves and low effort. If Izuku wished to, he could simply dash to the finish line in 5 seconds tops. But That'd make everyone despair, it'll make them lose their confidence in themselves, they might stop trying to overtake me by training and become weak. He needed them stronger, to not hold him back. Izuku decided to score the first but keep it close, it'll be believable and not too despairing for his classmates. After all, he can't afford to let them slack, they needed to be stronger like him, only then can he be relieved for their safety. He looked at Shoto who was still refusing to use his flames and sighed. How do I deal with this hormonal teenager? Izuku felt lost. He needed reliable teammates and the strongest one among them was holding back. Momo created a cannon, she shot at the robot's hand and blew it, creating space for others to pass through. Let's go! Yeah. The girls followed their vice president confidently. Looks like Midoriya Izuku has arrived at the fail. President Mike shouted into the mic, startling the crowd. Pipe it down, Mike Eraserhead rubbed his ears with irritation. Izuku looked at the fall, it's essentially a hazardous, gap-filled area with thin, unstable platforms suspended over a deep chasm. He looked down. The platforms are spaced apart like a Glent tightrope course, and falling means instant elimination from the event. Haha, sorry I just love this part, students must be careful not to fall, falling is immediate. Elimination. I hope no one is eliminated though, well, maybe only a blonde one. President Mike ignored the shouting and cursing of Bakugo as he turned to Izuku. Now let's see what you'll do for this one, Midoriya. Izuku stared calmly, he opted to mix float and OFA 3% to jump between the stone platform with ease. What? He ignored the ropes entirely, he's jumping over them. President Mike raised his eyebrows in shock. After all, one wrong landing will send him falling down. Smart, faster but riskier, how fitting of him. Eraserhead added and rolled his eyes. Hey! I heard that. Izuku snapped at the comment. I know, it was intended. Alzawa snickered while eating a Snicker. Tisk. Izuku looked behind him to see the face of Bakugo and Todoroki approaching him with desperation. He decided to slow down and give them a ray of hope. Seeing him slow down, the two's eyes glinted with hope as they pushed themselves to reach him first. Only for Izuku to crush their hopes by dashing ahead with a taunting smirk. Damn nerd! Bakugo unlocked a new level of rage, he was showing an amazing expression that the cameras loved, his face became a meme instantly. Shoto's face twisted with rage, Izuku has successfully gotten under his skin, he directly froze multiple stone platforms and dashed ahead, leaving Bakugo behind. Lita used this chance to run on the solid frozen platform and follow them faster. Damn it! How are they all faster than me? Lita felt like the world was simply unfair. If this keeps on going, I'll need to use that. However, as he thought so he remembered that there are other events after this one so he refrained. Behind Lita, Ochako was hovering high like a balloon, her torso was wrapped by a long tongue as Sol clung to the ropes and passed them with ease using her frog-like sticky hands. Momo made a long stick and balanced herself on the rope. Looking behind and seeing Todoroki approaching him with fast speed, Izuku grinned. Let's piss them off some more, this is fun. His leg landed on the ground as he exited the fall zone, directly reaching the minefield. Izuku Midoriya reached the minefield zone. This boy is fast. Alzawa, what are you teaching your students? He's built different, not my doing. Izuku directly stopped. What? Did he stop just now? Is he afraid of the minefield zone? The crowd murmured amongst themselves as they watched in confusion. Even those who were close to Izuku didn't know what he was thinking. Just as Shoto and Bakugo neared him, he started running again. This guy. He's toying with them? Shoto directly abandoned running and used his eyes to push him ahead, rushing behind Izuku with high speed. Midoriya! He bellowed with fury. However, no matter how much he tried, he still couldn't reach him, he kept running so fast that the bombs triggered when Shoto reached them, slowing him down. Bakugo, who was watching this, gritted his teeth. If this goes on, he'll lose. Yes, he believed that if it's not number 1 then it's a loss. Number 2737 all are failures. As long as he reached no I then nothing else matters. With that in mind, his mind worked fast, analyzing his environment with high speed. An idea struck him, and he grinned. He blasted the frozen ground beneath him, creating shards of ice that he held, triggering multiple explosions that propelled him ahead, rushing past the two. Izuku's eyes widened, a smile on his lips. Unexpected. Bakugo used the same strategy as Deka did in the original story. They truly are similar in their own way. However, who was Izuku? Who was Shishido? This is a man who declared that he's the best. The top of the top. The number 1. Izuku's legs blurred as it slammed on the ground, 10 kicks in the blink of an eye as he used 40% of OFA and speed 3 to mimic a technique from his memory. Saru or instant transmission. A technique from the world of pirates, mainly used by the CP9 members, it allows someone to dash ahead with high speed and seemingly disappear, leaving behind an afterimage. As he disappeared from place, he reapered at the finish line, all in less than a second. It was so fast that no one could perceive it, not even the top 10 heroes, except for All Might. What? Present Mike looked in disbelief at the scene, his eyes wide with shock. Alzawa lost his words. He immediately knew why Izuku was so confident when he fought the Nomu and disobeyed his words. He's strong and fast with shadow manipulation and many other things that he's hiding from everyone, including his teachers. Aya! Izuku Midoriya reached the finish line. He scored first. Present Mike sputtered and announced after a while. Shoto's face showed disbelief. Bakugo, who was still high in the air, riding an ice piece and happy that his stunt worked, felt his face freeze with shock. The crowd exploded with cheers, disbelief on their faces. Teleportation. An ability that was unbelievably rare. It was so rare that anyone with such an ability hid themselves deeply from the wicked hands of society. Everyone believed that it was teleportation that they witnessed as he simply disappeared and reappeared at the finish line, directly scoring the first. Yet, why did Izuku use it? He could just dash ahead very fast and still win, use his black tendrils to block everyone, use his Sharingan to stun his competitors, and many more ways. So why did he do this? The answer is very simple. He wanted to crush Shoto's hope of beating him or reaching close to him using 50% of his power. Izuku waved his hand with a smile at the crowd and the cameras. He bowed humbly to the cameras as he accepted the cheering crowds. He needed to convey to the viewers that he wasn't an arrogant man, he was strong and kind. Someone that resembled the number 1 hero of Japan. All Might smiled in satisfaction. He nodded at his actions. However, he was curious at the last stunt. His eyes could track his movement unlike everyone else, and he knew that it wasn't teleportation. Maruko stared in silence, not sure what to say. Teleportation, this ability is beyond broken. Kick at him? He's gone. Punch at him? He's gone. Corner him? He's gone. This means that as long as this green kid wanted to, he simply couldn't be touched. The only way that Maruko could think of to defeat him is by holding a hostage. But, the kid was also very fast. He was strong too. Fat Gum smiled and wrote his nomination, followed by multiple people too. What more can they say? This was more than enough, especially when he scored first at the practical exam. That exam was hard. It was made by Nizu, the smartest being on the planet, with the help of the best school and all of its resources, and the amazing support department led by Power Loader. It's that. The teleportation I told you about? Tamura Shigaraki punched the screen and cracked it as he yelled at Kurogiri. I see, Kurogiri replied robotically, not caring. Or rather, it couldn't even care. All for One, who was watching the sports festival in a different place, spoke through the other screen. No, this is his speed, not teleportation. His voice was calm and analytical. Although he couldn't see well because of the low frame rate of the camera, a frame rate that couldn't exceed 400 frames per second, but he saw how his right leg blurred before he disappeared. How did he do that? All for One was very curious about the technique. Was it a simple kick? If so, then why did the ground not crack upon the impact? How? Tomura Shigaraki asked calmly. He learned from his lesson and knew that the green student can't hide anything from his teacher. After all, AFO figured out that Izuku Midoriya was the successor of All Might with a single encounter with him. The screen returned to the scene of Izuku's figure. He used some sort of technique before he disappeared. This is dangerous. A really good technique was as good as a quirk. There are too many secrets that this green kid was hiding. How many more? What's his trump card? Rather than All Might, AFO felt that this kid was even more dangerous. With All Might he simply needed to get a hostage or outpower him to control the man. However, with this kid, there were many unknowns. He doesn't know his personality, his secrets, his quirks, his strength. He grimaced with displeasure. A mere brat dares to stop me. AFO took out his old phone and dialed a number. Jiren. Chapter 23. Taste your own medicine. What can I do for you? Jiren directly went to the point, not even offering a greeting. Something that AFO liked about him, direct and competent. The last batch was bad, I need more. I sent you over 100 thugs. They were of low quality. I need better ones. They failed the previous mission. He spoke, as if addressing toys rather than people. However, Jiren simply didn't care. It's all business after all. Jiren saw himself as a job provider. What type of job? That was irrelevant. After all, no one told them to be villains. There are more than 500,000 official professions out there, with hundreds of millions of non-official ones, yet they chose to be a villain instead of getting a job. Why should he pity such a people? Instead of letting them die uselessly, he felt like he should profit from them. He lit his cigarette and took a long drag. It was time to make money. Impossible. I ran out of money to recruit them. He lied as easily as he breathed. AFO smiled. If it's money, then it's easy. Controlling money-hungry people is his expertise. With close to 150 years of extortion and illegal activities, he didn't lack funds. With the amount of tools that he has, money is never an issue. If you lack any, just squeeze the cash cow for all of its worth. And if his tools refuse? Just replace them. It's impossible to control a man without morals. Society simply can't shackle them. Till double the pay. Jiren thought of accepting, but a flash of greed went through his eyes. You have to consider their families too, and my hard work, plus the last batch's disappearance left a bad reputati asterisk. Quadruple. Say less. A good gambler must always know when to withdraw. Speaking of gambling, looks like he'll do that tomorrow using this money. AFO hung up the phone with a smile. He got up from his chair and left to the lab. Time to visit an old friend. He spoke with a sinister glee. Having finished with the race, Izuku walked to a bench and sat down leisurely. He gazed at the VIP seats and waved his hand at his mother, making her cheer for him with a proud face, an action that made the nearby figures chuckle with amusement. Shishido really loved her. Having lived with a mother who switched boyfriends every couple of months in his past life, he understood the true value of Izuku Midoriya. This woman is a gem, I must protect her. The past 11 months have been a bliss for Shishido. Living with her is a warm experience. It was like leaving a land of never-ending winter to a warm spring country, simply incomparable. Food was never cold, always tasty. Showered with love and affection every day and hugged frequently every now and then. Shishido can't remember the last time his mother hugged him, but look at his new mother, hugging him like a precious gem. As for his father? He grew up fatherless. In his past life and his current one. His father died of a car accident and his current father died of a villain attack. He watched as the rest finished their race, Bakugo in second, followed by Shoto in third. Fourth for Ida, 5th for Shiozaki Ibara, Uraraka, and Sol taking 6th and 7th. 8th went to Shinso, who used brainwash to make some students directly carry him to the finish line. 9th for Momo, who made a scooter, followed by Mineta from the general department, who clung to the scooter using his beads and was dragged through the dirt to reach the 10th spot. Izuku really had to give it to this guy. He's quite resilient, but his personality really is terrible. He eyed Midnight and compared her to Mineta. Same perverts, different genders. Yet Mineta was scorned upon while Midnight was worshipped like a goddess. Shishido shook his head. The existence of Mineta was a joke. A pervert with a quirk that gives him sticky balls. Come on! But the existence of Midnight was even worse. A pervert with a quirk that instantly puts you to sleep. Brother! While the first one was gross, the second one was concerning. Luckily he was safe from both. A figure approached him rapidly, face fuming with rage. Why? Shoto gripped Izuku's collar aggressively and looked into his eyes. Why didn't you do that from the beginning? Were you mocking me? His eyes narrowed down with rage. Izuku stared at him for a couple of seconds, calm and unbothered as a crowd of students was beginning to form around them. I didn't need to give 100% directly, I could defeat you with less than 50%. Izuku stared at his eyes meaningfully. Isn't that right? Mr. Half and Half. He drawled mockingly. The grip on Izuku's collar lessened. I'm going to be number one hero without using my father's quirk. Shoto spoke with venom, eyes turning cold. Izuku chuckled as he gazed back at him. The two were on similar height. After receiving charm too, his physique started changing. He has been asked about this and he simply answered that it was his quirk's doing. After all, who can prove him wrong? Quirks don't follow logic. Changing the body into a gas form, producing fire from nothing, ice from nothing, defying the laws of physics by controlling gravity. Decay itself is the most illogical. How do you decay matter by a touch? Do you accelerate time for the target or do you change its form into particles? How do quirks work? Isn't it magic? You know. Last time I heard, people are born with quirks, not given it by others. Shishido ignored the fact that he was given OFA. He gripped Shoto's hand with force. Uck! Shoto winced and retracted his hand back in pain. If you wish to be my equal, fight like your life depends on it, go beyond plus ultra dash. Izuku laughed and walked off, not caring about him. Deku! Another angry figure blew an explosion at him, to which he dodged with ease with the aid of danger sense. His eyes looked up and focused on Bakugo. It's been a while since he called him Deku. He must be pissed. Katsuki as a character is entertaining and popular, but as a person, he truly is insufferable. But Shishido understood that his quirk was affecting his personality, so he didn't hate him. After all, Katsuki literally has rage coursing through his veins. But still, to still use that title was a bit __. Rude. You fucker. Were you underestimating me? Are you trying to mock me? He aggressively grabbed his collar. Shishido wondered why people loved to grab his collar. It was ruining his tracksuit. What do you mean? He said, acting oblivious. Why didn't you go all out? Are you saying that I'm not worth giving it your all? He suppressed the urge to say yes. But still, wasn't it hypocritical of Bakugo to be angry at him for acting like he was better? Didn't he spend half of his life saying that he was better than everyone? Why, do you hate when someone is mocking you? Looking down on you? Who doesn't? Good. Have a taste of your own medicine. Bakugo Katsuki stood there, shaken to the core, face frozen. Memories of him bullying Izuku Midoriya reached into his consciousness, making him frown with a hint of regret. The words were like a slap to the face. The massage was clear. Izuku Midoriya had a grudge against him. Izuku leaned forward and spoke into his ear. I don't forgive. Nor do I ever forget, remember that. He pushed him back and walked to the crowd of students with a smile. Star dot. Bakugo looked down, lost in a haze of old memories. He bit his lower lip in regret, eyebrows frowning with his eyes showing remorse. Having dealt with two hotheads, Shishio felt better, so he decided to talk with his classmates. After everything is said and done, he was the class president and his role involved helping them. Plus, he liked helping his peers. The better he treated them, the better they will treat him in the future. Nicely done over there, Lita. Number 4 is good, you've improved. Even if you say that, I'm still nothing compared to you. Lita slumped with a sigh. A guy that has a quirk made to race lost in a race. Izuku shook his shoulder with a laugh. Comparison is the enemy of joy, friend. Only compare yourself with yourself to improve yourself. Saying this to him while being the source of his problem is Tronic, Nana stared at Izuku with disbelief. How shameless is this bastard? Man. He's too young and innocent to understand that. Lita stared in surprise at his classmate. That's a very mature thing to say. Bastard, you thought I was immature? Izuku smirked and gave him a noogle playfully. No, I meant. It's impressive. Thank you for your words, President. I'll work hard to improve myself. Lita hurriedly shook his hands. Call me Izuku. Oh! On his peripheral vision, Izuku noticed a bubbly figure approaching with excitement. You are amazing, Izuku-san. Uraraka jumped with excitement, staring at him like a star. Izuku's eyes softened like butter. In his past life he loved a girl with a similar personality to Uraraka. Unfortunately, he got stabbed to death before proposing. But the past 10 months made him cope and overcome his grief. It made him grow as a person. Sadly, he's still maidenless. Ha! Banjo. Zip it. You weren't half bad either. Working with Asel was smart. You didn't let the schemes of Niza get between you two. It was true, Niza has deliberately mixed them all up in one tight space to corner them and make them fight each other, showing their true sides. But Uraraka and Asel were different. They worked with each other, proving Niza wrong. It's not that humans are inherently evil, it's the world that is. We are all born innocent, corrupted by the world. Yeah, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Ochako blushed and rubbed her hair shyly. She wasn't good with the praise, but she loved getting it. Call me Tsu, Midoriya-chan. Asel Sui quipped as she heard him call her Asel. She liked to be referred to in a casual manner. The name Asel felt too formal for her. Okay, then you can call me Izuku. He smiled warmly. Oh! The girl blushed slightly as he asked her to refer to him in first-name basis so casually. What is a first-name basis? It is quite simple. In Japan, a first-name basis is when someone you consider close to you calls you by your first name. It's considered the first step in a relationship. Come on. Say my name. I Izuku. Good girl. He patted her head fondly, like a child. Tsu blushed heavily and averted her gaze. His bold words made her heart flutter. Having tasted her own medicine, she felt lightheaded. Tsu, who was always bold and honest, finally met her match, and it made her lose her composure. What about me? I did good. Uraraka interrupted with a displeased expression that she failed to hide. Right, you did great. Izuku gently patted the short girl's head. It felt nice to dote on her. This. What? Unlocked a new kink? Maybe. Gross. Hey Banjo. I'm sorry for being an asshole. Fuck you, I'm never forgiving you. Till watch porn for you. Milfs? Milfs. You're forgiven. He said after long and hard thinking. Men. They are simple and direct, always knowing their priorities. Uraraka blushed but didn't push his hand off. It felt nice to be treated like a little girl, but still, she didn't want to be treated like a little girl. Women. Even they don't know what they want. What about me, President? Momo approached and spoke with a blush. I did great too, I scored 23rd. Jiro announced with pride, her hands twirling with her ear jacks. Shyly. Izuku wondered if these girls had daddy issues. Why did they want affirmation that badly? Am I that cool? Gee, good job. Izuku felt lost under their gazes. Seeing all of them asking for praise, Shinso felt like doing that too, to get closer to everyone and make himself feel approachable. So far, his only friend was Izuku and Shiro. What about me? I scored 8th. Shinso interrupted with a quiet voice. X4. In not patting your head, Shinso. The girls stared daggers at him. Elec! Shinso hurriedly walked off, a new fear unlocked. Izuku stared speechlessly. Let's stand in line. He spoke with a sigh. Yeez dash the girls smiled innocently and followed behind him like a flock of ducklings. Seeing him crowded by multiple girls, following behind him so intimately, Mineta Minoru of the General Department cried tears of blood and jealousy. Bastard, scumbag. He bit into his clothes and cursed him repeatedly. It should have been me, not him. He fell to the floor, punching it and crying. Pipe it down, diaper boy. A 15-year-old teenager of the General Education Department rolled his eyes at his colleague's antics. You got 10th place and you're still complaining. He rolled his eyes in exasperation. Now! Midnight whipped forward after the students grouped up. The first event is over, on to the second one. She pointed towards a spinning wheel. The wheel spun until it stopped at Crystal Picture. Artifact Hunt. All 64 remaining students must form teams of 16, led by their chosen leader. Every team is given an artifact in the shape of a small diamond-faced coin. The competing team must steal it and put it into their given satchel until only 4 teams are left. What is this? Izuku looked at the screen oddly. Of course, the 4 highest teams get to pass onto the finals. Midnight's announcement made the crowd cheer with excitement and anticipation. That wasn't supposed to happen. Told you, you rely too much on your future knowledge. The event changed because too many people passed the first event. Originally it was 42, now it's 64, Haikage shook his head. However, the first winner of the first event gets a blue coin instead of a golden one. Anyone that manages to steal it can progress into the third event after the 5 minutes timer ends. The students instantly looked at Izuku like a predator looking at its prey. If I can just take his coin and hold on until the timer hits, I'm guaranteed to pass. If we work together, we can take him down. Strength in numbers, we should also beat him up for having girls around him all the time. Reasonable crash out. I'm with you, balls guy. Let's kick his ass. Ugh. X47. Now, while the changes were unexpected, Shishido wasn't going to complain. He spread his arms wide, inviting them to try him. As for those that actually try to steal his coin, then he shall give them a taste of their medicine by stealing their coin. Chapter 24. Oh? You're approaching me? Yokohama, near the slums. In an old pub, a group of lowlives were chatting loudly with the scent of cheap alcohol and cigarettes filling the space. They wore old baggy clothes that hid their weapons so they appeared poor and haggard. Near them were multiple other people, different in shapes and sizes, but one thing combined all of them. Money. They were villains. A group of people that have never blended within society and won't be missed by anyone. Fuck off, Jiren. I lost a good friend because of you. The only reason you are alive now is because I can't kill you. It was true, Jiren had the support and backing of many powerful figures in the underworld. Killing him will make them all retaliate as their trusty merchant was gone. Of course, Jiren knew that, so he walked around brazenly and without fear into the dark side of the city. Now. It's an offer you really can't refuse, Marlos Jiren spoke loudly, attracting the attention of the people around him. The plan was simple. Mention money and let it do the talk. What do you mean? Marlos, a large ant-faced villain who killed his boss in a fit of rage and fled into the slums, spoke. 1 mission, 15 million yen each. He smiled and declared loudly. While originally he was supposed to offer 4 times the original amount of 5 million, he decided to keep 5 million yen for himself. Loud murmurs spread through the crowd, severely tempted by the offer. 15 million could offer paid rent for many years, food, prosthetic limbs, treatments of illnesses, and many, many more things. Everyone had a reason to be here, everyone had a need. And money solves everything. Marlos slammed his large hand on the table, breaking the daydreams of the crowd. And what am I supposed to do with that money if I'm dead? He angrily shouted. Are you dead though? Do you call this, Jiren pointed to his surroundings, a life? Marlos reflected on his words, a scowl of indignation on his face. It was true, this is hell on earth. While he and everyone here hid in the shadows, society lived in the light. He hasn't seen the sun in weeks, hiding from the cameras planted everywhere throughout the city. I'm in. A blonde woman with wooden left arm and an eye patch declared. Carla, a villain who murdered her abusive boyfriend and fled from the police, needed money to fix her life. With money, she can get out of this hellhole and go into the light. She could finally settle down and find a man better than what she has here. All she wanted was to be a mother. Yet life had other plans for her. After running from the police, she was mugged and beaten up. She lost an eye and a hand. Me too. A dog man added, this was his chance to be debt-free. With this he can get his wife and children back. Please God. I swear that I won't gamble again, so help me. He prayed, trembling with fear. Making a deal with Jiren was almost a guaranteed prison or death, but the ones that survived lived like normal people. While normal people considered their lives boring, the people who were not normal envied them endlessly. A 9 to 5 is boring? Try sleeping with one eye open as psychopaths roam the streets at night. What is a psychopath? A psychopath is someone who will use you, has no remorse and fear, kills without batting an eye, and is usually distant and disassociated. Usually you can spot one under stressful situations. They act unnervingly calm and collected. Even if you threaten their loved ones, they stare at you like a robot, not caring. After all, someone with no empathy can't feel love. Multiple people voiced their agreement, all motivated by a necessity. Keika. Jiren cackled, placing a paper on the table in front of Marlos. To all interested, meet me at this location. He drawled and walked away with slow strides. Next destination? An old acquaintance that goes by the name of Jean Bubigawara. The pub remained quiet until the purple man disappeared into the veil of darkness. Marlos looked at the address, contemplating. He needed 12 millions to cure his son's cancer. This will offer him 15. Naturally, he didn't think too much about it and directly got up. This is a father's pride. It cannot be controlled by a thing called fear. Walt. Where are you going? A bearman asked, face showing worry. Asterisk. Those who wish to risk their lives, follow me. He walked into the door, going to the address mentioned in the paper. Time to meet the new client. But you might die. Then follow me. Into hell, he said in a somber tone and left. He might die, but he'll make sure to give his son a better life. The people looked at each other, contemplating the heavy offer. It was like a devil offering you a way to heaven. While they definitely should refuse this, they simply cannot do it. They were in hell and this could be their way out. As pathetic and sad as this was, they were willing to follow Satan's words in hope of reaching heaven. All for a normal mundane life. I'm going. Me too, for my daughter. For my crippled husband. For my son. For you, my love. Tens of villains followed behind Marlos, each carrying a colossal burden. Life. It's never fair. Izuku spread his hands, inviting them to try. As the preparations for the second event began, he stood in place, waiting. They will come, he was certain. Midoriya Sensei, may I join you? Tokoyami approached and asked respectively. As for the Sensei title? It's something that Izuku is now stuck with. As he taught his classmates regularly, they began to treat him as their teacher. His mannerism and way of speech that resembled an adult didn't help either. He kept insisting that they call him by name, but they addressed him by Sensei whenever he was teaching them. This habit slipped outside of class. He sighed, defeated. Asterisk. Sure, but we'll face too many enemy groups as we are the blue coin team. Are you sure? I trust you. He walked near him calmly and fearlessly. Doubt the president? Impossible. This is a man who defeated a biologically engineered weapon, designed to kill the #1 hero in Japan, if not the world. All Might, the symbol of peace, had a global influence on all cultures if he were to fall. Tokoemi didn't want to think about what would happen to the world. Japan will fall, followed by major countries like USA and half of Europe. This could destabilize the economy of the world and easily trigger Wii. In his eyes, Izuku Midoriya was the next symbol of peace, someone who is destined to inherit the mantle of All Might. He wished to support him to the best of his abilities, even if he had to sacrifice his own life. All right then, salt yourself? Izuku chuckled and shook his head. He felt a bit happy though, being trusted that much, it's flattering. Izuku loved getting praised. Hee hee. You're making that face again. Nana gagged. At least I have a real face unlike your dead ass. Touché. Multiple figures approached, trying to join. However, Tokoemi noticed that they were mostly weak and tried to use Izuku to win easily. He decided to stay silent and observe how he will deal with such a situation. Sorry guys, my team is already booked up. Izuku apologized with a helpless smile. As expected, he chose the best option, the peaceful way out. Izuku grabbed the hands of Momo and Shinso. Right guys? He asked with a smile. That's right. Shinso quickly caught on. It's true, me and President formed a team already. We're 4 and full. Momo nodded, understanding everything. Oh man. Damn it, I'm stuck with Balls Guy? Oh well. Damn it, my Quirk works so well with his. While Izuku wanted to choose Uraraka and add her to his team, he couldn't as the girl joined with Tsu, Ashido, and Jiro. Oh well, it can't be helped. 2 minutes until the second event begins. President Mike announced, startling the students. Shit, I need a teammate. Hey Balls Guy, let me in. Dream on. I thought you didn't want to join me. I got pics of chicks with big tits. You drive a strong argument there. Welcome to the team. The two perverts shook hands under the disgusted looks of the surrounding girls. Alright guys, let's make a plan. Izuku grabbed his teammates and took them to a quieter area. But first, let me hear your plans. He added as he reached the place. Well, I was thinking of using my enemies against themselves. Shinso stated. Till let Dark Shadow protect you while you handle them. Tokoemi nodded reassuringly. Sword and shield, plus a flash grenade, never fails. Momo finished, crossing her hands confidently with a smirk. Let's hear my thoughts now, shall we? Okay X3. First, Momo. Can you make any type of anesthetic gases? Asterisk. I can make some nitrous oxide but it'll take a while. Good. Flash bombs and masks too. This. You're not thinking of .7-inch. Correct, an all-out attack that'll target all the teams and wipe them all out instantly. I understand. Try to make it a low dosage, enough to put them to sleep for half an hour or something. I'm not sure if I can do that. Try your best, I trust you. Momo blushed at his words. She nodded with determination. But what about our classmates? Shinso interrupted, unsure. Asterisk. Dude, there are enemies now and they will come for us. Asterisk. Right, I'm sorry, keep going. His expression hardened. Okay, leave it to me? Momo nodded confidently. She refused to hinder anyone down, especially the class president. This is her pride as a hero. Alright, moving on to you, Shinso. Yes. Rile them up and make them attack each other like you originally planned. He nodded. And you, Tokoemi-kun, use a cape to grant yourself shade and fly using Dark Shadow, distract and attack the flying enemies. Tokoyami's eyes widened at the idea. While it was him who created such a plan in the original timeline, Izuku decided to boost him a bit. He needed them to grow stronger, fast. Asterisk as expected. Tokoyami smiled while closing his eyes. To think that he'd think of something that concerns my quirk this fast makes me wonder what he'd do with it if he had it. As expected, Izuku Midoriya is different compared to everyone else. He has the most potential to reach number 1. Momo, you handle the cape, make it light and black to absorb all light. Yes, I'll do my best. But what about you? Don't worry, I'll handle it well. Our sign is the word, now got it? Asterisk 30 seconds left for the second event. Present mic announced loudly. You do realize that the mic enhances your sound, right? You don't need to scream every time. Aizawa stared at him tiredly. 10 seconds left. Izuku looked at the blue-colored coin connected to the pendant he was wearing. All the team stared at him, waiting for the countdown to reach 0 so that they could attack him all at once. He might be strong, but is he strong enough to stop 60 people? They believed that he wouldn't last more than a minute. 1. The artifact hunt begins, Aizawa interjected in a monotone voice, smirking. Present Mike stared at him, speechless. Did he just steal his countdown? Aizawa munched on snacks carelessly, ignoring his gaze. All the students ran towards Izuku's team, intending to steal the blue pendant. Momo, on my sign. Yes. She spoke as she made her tools. Black tendrils wrapped around the pendant on Izuku's neck, securing it in place. Ofa 35%. With wild crackling sound, he dug his hands deep into the ground and cracked it, smiling maniacally. Table flip. He pulled hard, breaking the ground and lifting it high, with all the near students on it. What the fuck? Hacks. That's hacks. Asterisk. Ah, Grandpa. I'm coming. The students were flung up high like droplets of water in a storm, flying uncontrollably. Now! Izuku loudly declared. Momo directly used the distraction to throw 3 nitrous oxide bombs, with 3 other gas masks at her teammates. An explode start by Midoriya Izuku. What a wild move! This kid will be the death of Recovery Girl. Aizawa muttered, watching the students falling down and breaking multiple bones. The audience cheered and jeered at the students, enjoying the show as they flew high up and came crashing down. All Might smiled. That's more like it. Well done, kid. While he thought that it was excessive, he still had to admit it was a smart move, as now the dust is everywhere, obscuring his location. This kid is crazy. Ha ha ha. Mirko hollered at the sight, enjoying the absolute carnage. Endeavor's beard flared up, eyes showing excitement and a flaring fighting spirit. Ah, did that turn you on? That definitely turned you on, right? Hawk smirked, poking his face with his index finger. Endeavor's excitement died down instantly. He smacked Hawk's head for making it weird. He got up. Hey, where are you going? Hawks asked, rubbing his head. Toilet. Ah, I see. Go on then, we all need our alone time, don't we? Asterisk yeah, so shut you dash. Endeavor paused, turning back slowly to look at him. Hawks smiled innocently. Endeavor left, flinging a small flame at him on his way out. Ah! At-a-tat. Hot hot. Hawks used his feathers and put the fire out with a laugh. A beam shot out from the smoke and targeted Izuku. He narrowly dodged it. Aoyama. The beam attacked again from behind him, targeting his back. 777. Izuku looked back, seeing no one. He didn't understand. Who? How? The beam shot out again, from another place. Izuku dodged again, relying on his danger sense. The beam that missed him redirected itself and attacked his back again. He dodged. I see. It's you, Hagakure-san. Ah. You figured out the plan already. She whined helplessly. Her team's plan was simple. Aoyama attacks in front while she refracted his laser beams from behind. However, no one anticipated that he could dodge laser attacks. What kind of monstrous sleet is that? To top it all off, he figured out the plan. Izuku leaped in her direction. Asterisk. Damn I dash asterisk Hagakure instantly passed out as Izuku jabbed her neck and took her golden pendant. While she could hide from him using her quirk, she couldn't hide from the falling dust that casted a veil on her, exposing her location to his eyes. His eyes looked at the other side, to where Aoyama Yoga stood. Izuku's figure disappeared. He instantly passed out, his golden coin snapped from him. Multiple students began to fall with a thud, affected by the sleep-inducing gas that Momo threw. Luckily, he and his team had gas masks. It has to be stated that Momo's quirk is extremely powerful as she can create anything that she knows about by knowing its molecular compound. If someone managed to create a miracle healing item using his quirk, couldn't Momo create an infinite amount of it using her quirk after a bit of research? Honestly, creation was stronger than OFA as it can produce any type of weapon. Even a nuke should be possible, strong enough to wipe out an entire Surrey. With the current technology, mini nukes are a thing. The power to wipe out an entire city in the palm of your hand, similar to the miniature rose from HXH. Izuku shuddered and thanked whatever deity that gave this quirk to Momo instead of someone like AFO. Here, President! Momo shouted and threw him a shield happily. Thank fuck it was given to her. Still, Izuku was curious about where Bakugo was. Usually, this guy would directly attack him, right? Where's he? Although he could hear some explosions in the distance. Asterisk, come here you bastard. What did I do? What did I do? Bakugo Katsuki was chasing Senkaibara from class 2 to 8 with CH Vengeance. So you think short hair is good, huh? Let me give you a haircut then. Ah dash. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in part 3. Peace.